What is up, everybody? It's the Apothecary here with part 2 of our Infinity Saga episode. I'm sure you all were really dying to see what we talked about next. But even though it is going to be uploaded on the same day now, because, you know, despite my best efforts, I couldn't fucking get part 1 uploaded on Saturday, which I'm sure you know. So yeah, we're back. I don't really have to do any introductions. You know what this is. You know who we are.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, he's still here. We're not recording, and it's the same day. We're not recording this like 3 days later.
Yeah, not at all.
At 9 o'clock.
Super punctual.
At 9 o'clock at night on Saturday, the night before this is supposed to be uploaded.
Yeah, of course not, because that's way too specific.
Yeah, that's definitely not what's going on at all.
Punctual is our middle name.
Exactly. So with that in mind.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and get into Phase 3.
Phase 3!
Which I'm sure we're very excited about.
Right.
Because this is a very big and epic phase. I still think that Phase 1 is the best phase, but Phase 3 has a lot of the strongest movies.
Agreed. Phase 3 is like when I really started to pay attention to like the movies.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like by this point, like the MCU is pretty established. We've had 2 Avengers movies, so like the world knows like what's going on,
right?
And I think what really stood out to me is like when they did Ant-Man. I think that was such like a big risk, and the risks that paid off. And Marvel's like, okay, I respect. They're doing some other shit, and of course the Guardians of the Galaxy as well. Like these are like risks, but now we're entering Phase 3. Ant-Man has just happened. We've witnessed Avengers 2, Age of Ultron. We skip past it. And now we're starting off Phase 3 with one Captain America Civil War, which I like to call Avengers 2.
Avengers, the real Avengers 2.
Yeah, Avengers 2.5.
Yeah, basically is what, this is.
Another big ensemble movie.
Yeah.
It brought us to 2 characters. Well, not brought us, but or did it? No, it did. Yeah, it introduced Tom Holland, the Spider-Man, and introduced the Black Panther. 2 characters that abso-fucking-lutely stole the show.
Yeah, and here's the thing. First of all, I just want to say at the top of this, I still put this in my top 3 favorites in the whole MCU.
Yeah.
This is undoubtedly one of the best. And a big part of the reason is because the way they use the big ensemble cast, which includes, as you mentioned, Spider-Man and Black Panther. And we knew from the start that Black Panther would be in this.
Right.
And I was so fucking excited because I had been waiting for years for them to finally bring him into the fold. And I thought Chadwick Boseman was a perfect choice. Little did I know just how perfect he would be.
Oh, yeah.
And when I saw that trailer, that first trailer, they had like the quick second of him in the costume. I lost my fucking mind.
Yeah, dude.
I was like, oh my God, there he is! So that was amazing. But what we didn't necessarily know from the start was that Spider-Man was going to be there.
Yeah, that was
because
a whole debacle.
They were still trying to work that shit out. We didn't know until like right around the time they started filming that he was going to be there. So that was like the biggest and best surprise ever.
Right. And the cool thing about that is like there was just so much speculation going around. Like, will he be in it? Because like you got Sony who has rights, and then Marvel's like, but we want to use him because Spider-Man. We got this great idea. And so like when the first picture surfaced of Spider-Man holding Cap's shield, when that shit came out, dude, I got so many goosebumps. I was like, yes, this is happening. And like there could not have been a more perfect picture because to hold Cap's shield, that is like representative of like it's Cap, it's the leader, it's the Avengers, it's Marvel, and now like, he's holding it, and also like Spider-Man's like his suit was different too, so like we got to see like a completely different take because we all were ready for a different Spider-Man after a certain someone. So we were like just ready for anything.
Yeah.
And we were just so happy that Tom Holland his version of Spider-Man, like, we got Spider-Man in the movie, so, like, Spider-Man is in the MCU, which a few weeks ago was, again, a conflict because there was a worry about, like, whether or not he'd make it. But either way, that's separate conversation.
Yeah.
Black Panther, Spider-Man, and so this is what Civil War is, right? Civil War is, and you will help me with the details if I mess anything up. Civil War is essentially like Captain America and Tony Stark. They have differing views on what superhero-ness should be, governments having control, what they can do. Tony Stark, being the old teddy bear that he is, gets guilt-tripped about worrying like all the superheroes, the Avengers, when they save people, destruction happens. And he's worried that he can't save everyone. So the government is basically like, you can't just run around doing whatever you want because things happen. There are repercussions. And Cap is like, well, we help people. Justice, justice, justice. Mm-hmm. And so the battle lines are drawn because now they got the Sokovia Accords, yes?
Yes.
Which basically says that the Avengers have to be on call.
Yeah, they can't go into action unless, literally this is what he says, unless, like, a fucking Senate committee okays it.
Right.
You know, like, it has to go through so much discussion and fucking paperwork and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
And they all got to take a vote, as opposed to them just going into action whenever they're needed.
Exactly.
But here's the cool thing, is, you know, I never read the actual Civil War comic, but I've heard from, like, everybody who has read it that it sucked. It was one of those things where it was a really good idea. They just executed it very poorly.
Right.
And I thought it was so cool that they were able to execute it so well here, do the concept justice.
Right.
And because that's the great thing about this movie. The comic was like, it took a side. It was like, Cap is the good guy, Iron Man's the bad guy. And that is generally what you're supposed to think. And the movie does kind of present Cap, because it's his movie, he's the protagonist, you know. But it really doesn't necessarily take... It presents both sides of the argument, like, you know, in an understandable way.
Yeah, like
whereas,
both sides
like,
are valid.
I've heard in the comic, Tony was basically, like, cartoonishly a bad guy.
Right.
Because they were trying to make Cap look like the good guy. And here, they... You know, no matter who you disagree with, no matter what side you're on, because I'm personally on Cap's side, but I see where Iron Man is, like, coming from at the very least. I, like, understand what he's trying to do and what he wants to, you know, so, like, I applaud them for that, for actually turning it into, like, a discussion between the characters instead of, like, you know, because I think that makes it more interesting. Exactly. You know?
And it makes you think about, like, because... when you're watching these movies, it also is good for the audience as well, because we've been watching all these movies. We've been following the Avengers, and you are now seeing that, like, yes, we're so used to them saving the world and helping people, but there are repercussions. There is destruction. They do, like, their presence does somehow bring danger to the world, because now that villains know that you exist, people are going to try and fuck with you. People are going to get stronger. Villains are going to get stronger and try and take over Earth or take something away or whatever, because they know the Avengers are there. They want to purposely antagonize them.
But then at the same time, the Avengers aren't necessarily going away. They're staying, but now they can't... If somebody does try to fuck shit up, they're not going to be able to do it the right way.
Right.
That's the problem. But at the same time, that's the cool thing about it. You can totally, though, like... Again, they present it like a real argument.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's so cool, is like, and you see where it's coming from in Tony, because he meets up with the woman at the elevator and she tells him the story, and that's why he decides to do it. Right. You know, and they address the fact that I was talking before about, you know, the character arcs and them arriving at the right place, you know, based on previous events in the movies. They point this out in the movie, where he, all the way back in Iron Man 2, he was telling him to kiss his ass when they were trying to control him and take his suits.
Right.
But now he's kind of just, like, evolved more as a character, and he's, like, you know, a bit more mature now, and he's seen the effects, you know, and he's a lot more guilt-ridden.
Right.
And Ultron was his fault.
Exactly.
So he feels like he's got to do something about it.
Right. He feels
so you totally, even if you don't agree with him, you sympathize with him.
Yes.
You know, that's important. And I think it's really cool that even though the comic apparently didn't do that, they were able to do it so well here.
Right.
And that's why this team, the Russos and Marcus and McFeely, those are the guys.
Yeah.
they do, and that's one of this movie's biggest strengths to me. I mentioned before that, the Russo brothers' job has always been to come in and clean up the other director's messes. And they did that more with this movie than any other movie they did, because Phase 2 was a bit of a messy phase.
Right.
Like every problem that existed before, they fixed it. Scarlet Witch and Vision were very uninteresting characters in Age of Ultron. Make them both interesting. Make Scarlet Witch one of the most interesting characters in the Avengers.
Yes.
They haven't referenced the Incredible Hulk in 8 years. Bring back General Ross.
Right.
Iron Man stopped being Iron Man, and then all of a sudden was just Iron Man again with no explanation. Right in a scene where he explains what happened there.
Right.
That's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, is when he says like, yeah, a few years ago I blew my suits up and I said I was done, but the truth is, I don't want to stop. I can't stop. So, there's that. Like they came in and they're like, all right, all the kids were like drawing on the walls with crayons, and now we're gonna fucking scrub it off and put a fresh cone of paint over it, because we're the parents who have to clean up the mess. And not only that, in a big, and you'll see this more with the later movies they did, with this, they made sure that every character, even though it was so stuffed full with characters, everyone got their moment to shine.
Yes.
Like, they made sure that even though it was basically Avengers 2.5, Cap was still the center of attention.
Yes.
It was still his movie. Tony had a great arc in this one. A lot of awesome stuff. Obviously, Bucky had a lot of great big stuff. Everyone got their, like, Falcon as usual was like, his presence was really felt. He was very useful. Black Widow, just everybody. Even the smaller ones, like, pun intended, the smaller ones like Ant-Man.
Right.
He was, they used him really well. He was like the goofy kind of comic relief. He was there to, like, he didn't feel like just an add-on. Nobody felt like an add-on. Even the characters that we had never met before, like Spider-Man and Black Panther, and Spider-Man, in the grand scheme of things, really wasn't in it that much. He didn't even feel like an add-on. It was natural how he came into the story.
Right.
They used him exactly as much as they needed to. And man, I am still to this day so impressed by how well they worked Black Panther's origin story into the movie.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable how they, like, you want to talk about someone who almost ran away with the movie. Like, he legitimately almost ran away with the movie because he had a much bigger part than a lot of the others, and you were so interested in his story in particular because it basically was his origin story,
Yes.
And that he had, to me, one of the best arcs in the movie, because he spends the whole movie being so consumed by getting revenge, and you see him grow as a character more. And by the end, I love that scene where he's talking to Zemo and he's like, "Vengeance has consumed you as it has nearly consumed me." He realizes like how close he was this close to letting it get the better of him and killing Bucky. And I think that was a really good arc and a lot of good development for him.
He was such a fucking badass.
He was too. In his first fight scene where they're leaping across the rooftops and shit.
Dude.
Great character introduction.
He just looks so fucking good because, like, and the cool thing about, like, Black Panther and really just everyone in the movie, like, everyone got their scene, but, like, when each character was on the screen, it felt like their own little movie. Like, when Black Panther was, like, he was not with the games and the jokes. Like, they're fucking fighting in the airport. And then Clint is like, "Oh, I don't think we ever met. I'm Clint. I don't care." He's not with his joking bullshit.
He is not fucking around. He's here to, like, get shit done.
Right, and then on the opposite side of that spectrum, Spider-Man is, like, asking questions like, "How'd you get this made? I'm not really used to this." And you're like, "Hey, kid, you normally don't talk so much during fights. Oh, I'm sorry. Like he's every character when they're on screen and they're interacting with everyone, they're still true to themselves. Yeah. Like it's a Captain America movie, but every time the character got to do their thing, or with Ant-Man, like it felt like all right, they are at home here. They're bringing their own thing to the table. Yeah. Whether it's badassery, whether it's complicated emotions, whether it's hilarity, whether it's stealthiness, like it all came together in one big thing.
Right, and I mentioned before with Winter Soldier how one of the great things about that movie, one of the things that the Russos are best at is making sure that every character has an arc, has a purpose, isn't just, chewing up the screen.
Right.
They did that here, where even if it was insignificant, even if it was small, everybody had some kind of arc going on. Where I mentioned Cap and Bucky and Iron Man and Black Panther, but then you've got Wanda and Vision, who had the romance thing going on, and Wanda struggling with everyone's kind of afraid of me, like how do I feel about that, and her whole thing with that. Black Widow struggling to really choose between Steve and Tony, like she agrees with the Accords. But she also wants to help Steve with Bucky, and her struggling with that and making the decision to let them go. Everybody, is doing something. And War Machine, getting crippled, that, everybody's doing something. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody is there's a reason for them to be in the movie. And I've always really loved how good they are at that. And... yeah, I also just love how they brought back General Ross, because that was as big of an announcement to me as Spider-Man and Black Panther, because I was like, they are not fucking bringing him back. Right. They are referencing the Incredible Hulk for the first time in 8 years. Oh my god, I can't believe it. Right. And actually seeing him in the trailer, I was like, yo, they dead ass brought him back. Please make him Red Hulk. In the She-Hulk TV show, please make it happen.
Please.
And Zemo.
Yes.
Still one of the best villains they've ever had. Mm-hmm. I remember at the time thinking yo, this is the best one since Loki.
Yeah.
Cause that was the great thing about him. He didn't have a grand big plan. He didn't want to take over the world. He just wanted to fuck them up.
Yeah.
It was that simple.
Yeah, they've had it.
He was just an ordinary dude. He just wanted to fuck them up.
Yeah.
And I love that. And that, and it's weird because you'd think it would have made me a bit more upset they didn't go traditional with him, because they totally changed his character. He basically wasn't even the same person as he was in the comics, but it didn't even bother me, because I guess they really just were faithful to the spirit of him.
Yes.
They did enough to where it felt like Zemo to me. Although he is finally going to put on the purple mask in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Okay, cool.
So I am all for that. And I've seen the picture too.
Okay.
It looks fucking incredible. So I'm super ready. So this was basically just his origin story.
Right.
When you really think about it. And yeah, it's so many great scenes. Really too many to name. One of my favorite scenes, maybe in the whole series, is again the part where Tony is talking about how he blew up the suits. And the two of them are going back and forth, and they're going he's about to convince Cap to sign the Accords. He's right about to sign it. And then he mentions that he's keeping Wanda locked up in the compound. And then Cap just goes I see, Tony, every time I think, you've got this figured out, it's give me a break, okay? They don't grant visas to weapons of mass destruction. And, just that whole, the dynamic between them, I guess, is really my favorite part of the movie.
Yes.
It was so heartbreaking to watch the two of them just fall out at the end. And everyone says that the airport scene is the best fight scene in the movie. I can't really argue with that, because it kind of is one of the best fight scenes in any superhero movie.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching that and being this is what it's all about. This is when I can let my inner geekiness out and be this is just playing with all your action figures.
Exactly.
They're all on screen at the same time.
Yes.
Fucking each other up. Yeah. And what is it really all about at the end of the day, if not that?
Yeah. it had everything you could really ask for. It had good action. It had fun. It was whimsical. There was the superhero interplay. There was coordination. There was planning. There were stakes. Mm-hmm. it had everything that you could really want. So, like, of course, a lot of people fuck with it as heavy as they do, and rightfully so.
Yeah, and even though like that scene was great, I think my favorite fight scene in the movie honestly might be the final battle between Tony and Cap.
Yeah, that was
because in addition to that just being a good fight scene like the airport scene, the emotional stakes in that scene really brought it up for me.
Yeah, it was tense.
They were fighting, and it was like a real fight, not like I'm just trying to stop you. Like we hate each other right now.
Yeah,
and he's trying to kill Bucky, and that adds a whole new dynamic to it.
And then more into the emotion because like you can feel for them because on one hand it's like Tony's pissed, like you knew this entire time that he killed my parents, you didn't fucking tell me. But then Cap's like, I didn't know how, I'm sorry. And he's trying to murder Bucky, but Bucky's his best friend. So Cap is like, fuck, like, I should have told you, I didn't realize you'd act this way, but Bucky's my best friend, I knew you'd act this way. And it's just like, god damn it, like, and it can't be done, like, it was something that was always bound to happen. And Zemo just knew exactly how to coordinate every single thing to lead them up into that very moment. And you're just like, fuck, they're too distracted. And Zemo was already like tucked away. So he was already like gone. He did his job. He didn't even care to see the fight. He's like, all right, they're fighting. I'm good. I got to get out of here.
And it's one of the few times the villain wins in one of these movies.
Yes.
He didn't really lose.
Yeah.
He succeeded. He broke them up.
Yep.
They remained broken up until Endgame. Like, you know, so he won. And that was an even bigger testament to how formidable of a foe he was. He doesn't even have any fucking superpowers. He destroyed the Avengers.
Yeah.
You know?
He's just a psychological fucking mad scientist.
Yeah, basically. And it was, God, this movie was so incredible. It was so, and like, yeah, so, I can't even think of any downsides. Okay, there was one extremely minor downside, which was the creepy ass scene where he fucking kisses Sharon. Which is even more awkward now.
Yeah.
God, you gotta wonder how that fucking conversation went when she was born. There have been 1,000 memes about it, like, so Steve, this is my niece Sharon, and he starts sweating.
Oh God.
Like, Steve, why are you sweating? No reason. And it was funny because Haley Atwell came out when that movie came out and said, like, that was disgusting.
Yeah.
Why would he do that? It doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, it's like, as soon as she dies, he tries to bang her niece. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of weird. But that's about it. It's so, and not all the action in this movie was some of the best.
Oh yeah, of course. The Russo brothers coming through with the clutch. They're so good at the fucking action scenes.
Oh God, and the part where, because we mentioned basically everything else, but the scene where, you know, they're coming after Bucky. This is right before Black Panther shows up, and they're fighting like in the stairwell and shit. Unbelievable fucking action. I still can't believe how good those guys are at it. But yeah, Civil War, excuse me, is to me the best Captain America movie.
Yes.
I know some people may say it's Winter Soldier, and that's up there. But this is, I think, his best. I think it's in the top 3 of all time. It is just absolutely astonishing. It is so fucking good. And it was my favorite for a long time until the last 2 Avengers movies came along.
Right.
But yeah, so that's Civil War, and it's amazing.
Very fucking good.
Yeah. So now on to the next one, which is
Doctor Strange! I had to find it on the screen. Like, yeah, Doctor fucking Strange. Doctor Strange. Okay, so Doctor Strange was one of many that I ended up watching in retrospect after, like, leading up to Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
That was one that I originally missed, and I think I knew of it, but I don't know why it just passed me by. So I went and saw that one on the Netflix, which is, you know, funny now considering Disney Plus is a thing. They have everything on there, but like I saw it on Netflix, and I remember I was like, fucking. So it stars Benedict Cumberbatch, which is like one of those really weird choices until you see it in action.
Right.
And you're just like, oh shit, this is actually perfect.
And you know it was supposed to be Joaquin Phoenix at first?
Which I also would have been fine with.
I would have been down as fuck with that.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think Cumberbatch was the guy.
Yes.
But like you said, you would never have known that. Like, I never would have picked him.
Right.
Like, but then to me now, he is the guy for that part, you know?
Looks the part. He's super fucking snarky.
Yeah.
He looks cool in motion.
And despite what people say, his accent is not bad.
People say his accent's bad?
Yeah, people like make fun of him for like not sounding American. And
he sounds totally fucking American.
I know he does, but like the reason that people say that is because his voice sounds weird when he's American because certain, you know, people have certain voices and certain dialects, like based on their dialect, like if they switch accents, their voice changes and it sounds kind of unnatural in certain cases, which is the case with him. And I noticed that the first time I watched it because normally he's got the British accent and he's got a certain way that his voice works, but then you switch it and it sounds a little kind of weird, you know, that he sounds American. And people just kind of pick up on that and they don't really know what the difference is. They just assume it's his accent. Because he does sound different, but it's not because his accent's bad.
Right.
You know, he sounds perfectly natural to me. It's just the way his voice changes. Like, for instance, this is a weird fucking example, but in this movie that I saw this year called The Farewell, Awkwafina was in it, and normally her voice is like fingernails on a chalkboard, but she was speaking Chinese for most of the movie, and it didn't matter because of the way her dialect changed, you know? So it's basically like that. But yeah, I thought he was super great. The movie is one of my favorites.
Yes.
I don't know how you feel or anybody else feels, but that is one of my favorites still. And it's partially because Doctor Strange was one that I was always really excited for a really long time because I think he has one of the coolest origin stories.
Yes.
One of the coolest mythologies of any of them. And I was really, really eager to see how they adapted it, and they didn't disappoint. I think they really captured because that was the thing that everyone was talking about going in, like, this is the mystical side of the MCU. We haven't seen this yet, you know?
Right.
I wonder how they're going to explore this. It was very, very interesting.
Yes.
All the sorcery shit, I really thought they did that well. It was cool seeing all of it in action.
Right.
It was visually appealing. I mean, he ripped off Inception, but whatever.
That's what made the movie so good. Like, I keep talking about whimsy and how important that is, but like this movie did that so well.
Yeah.
Magic is fucking cool. Ask J.K. Rowling. Like it's seeing that shit in motion when there's this whole world based around sorcery and like studying the arts. And the cool thing about Doctor Strange is that he is the man of two worlds. All right, he knows all about medicine and like biology. He's a doctor. Like he's a surgeon. Mm-hmm. He knows about all the shit, the in and outs. He's very intelligent. But then he knows about like ancient Asian mythologies and magic and all this shit. So like he is beyond intelligent. Mm-hmm. So like watching this man, like you literally, it's his origin story. That's how most of these movies work. You see this man, he is a doctor, he is a surgeon, he is the top of his game, and he's so good, highly sought after, and he has an accident that fucks up his hands. And now he doesn't know what to do with his life because like that's how he makes his money. He saves lives and now he can't do it. And he goes into this depression. Who am I? What do I do? And then he goes to like find himself and he meets up with the Ancient One. Which the less said about the decision.
We'll cover that later.
Yeah, but
after you're done with your point.
Yes, we meets up with the Ancient One, and then the Ancient One does like the fucking. When the Ancient One, like, he's being abrasive because, like, that's who he is.
Right.
And he's just like, I demand you explain to me what's going on. And the Ancient One just, like, does this trip push thing.
Yeah.
And, like, his body, it literally his soul leaves his body.
Yeah.
And you see, like, him going through all these different dimensions while she's talking to him. Mm-hmm. And basically, like, this is why you shouldn't fuck with me. Like, that was fucking cool.
Yeah. That was a great scene. Yeah, very visually interesting. And like you said, that shit is important, especially when it's a movie like this, where you got to play that shit up more.
Yes.
You know? And yeah, it was, again, I thought very, the mystical shit is what made this one cool.
Right.
And the fact that he naturally has a very cool backstory. And Yeah, and okay, like, it had its downsides. But to me, there was so much good shit. The story was good. It was really entertaining. The characters were all interesting. Most of them were, not all of them. But, you know, for all the good stuff, then you got, like, okay, so you got Doctor Strange. He's an interesting character. You like him.
Right.
Then you got... she was kind of one of the least memorable love interests, but it's what the actor brings to the part. I think Rachel McAdams did the best she could with that.
Yeah.
Definitely brought it up a couple of notches. Again, not one of the most memorable love interests ever, but
at all.
She did a good job. I enjoyed her presence, Rachel McAdams' presence in the movie.
Right.
Mordo, I thought Mordo was interesting because I am very used to Mordo being a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, but I like the change that they went with in this one, because normally his origin story is a lot more simple. It's the classic, like, Doctor Strange is the good student, Mordo's the bad student. Mordo, you know, betrays the master, and he just becomes like the rogue disciple, you know, that whole kind of classic origin story. And here they made it more, he's a lot more complex. He's more of a good guy in this one.
Yeah.
But he loses his faith by the end of the movie. I thought that was a nice change, you know, especially considering, based on the post-credit scene, with the next one, he's gonna fuck shit up and be a bad guy now.
Yeah.
Which I cannot fucking wait for.
Dude, that shit, like his fucking, that line, he's like, I figured it out.
Oh my god. Too many sorcerers.
Like,
and here's the thing. Here's how I know he's gonna fuck shit up and be a great villain. Because he's played by Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yes.
Who is one of the fucking, I'll say it, one of the greatest actors ever, I believe, firmly. He always gives it 120%, like every single part that he plays. And I thought he did so well with this, and just that line, you know, the way he said, like, too many sorcerers. I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna fuck shit up so bad.
Yeah.
Please don't hurt me.
You can just tell, like, oh shit.
Yeah, he's gonna definitely kill some fuckers. Yeah. He already killed poor Benjamin Bratt. But yeah, so that was very interesting. And you want to talk about the way they changed characters? They not only were changing shit, they were making improvements to guys like Wong. Like, they made Wong the breakout character of this fucking movie. We all still love Wong. Like, yes. Oh my god, he was the best. He was my favorite, man. He's the breakout character of the movie. Mm-hmm. And it's so cool because in the comics, it's not that he was a bad character. It's just that, like, in the comics, he was more of like an Alfred type character. Yeah. He was more just like Doctor Strange's butler. But, like, if he could fight, because he fought, unlike Alfred. Mm-hmm. More just like the manservant. But here, they make him Strange's equal. He's like a badass in his own right, who isn't really his sidekick. He's more of just like his number two. There's a difference, because, like, the only reason he's his number two is because he's the Sorcerer Supreme. So he has to answer to him. But really, they're on an equal level, you know, in terms of, like, how powerful they are. And really, Wong is smarter than him. Even though Strange is more powerful, Wong is, like, the most intelligent guy in the whole thing. So that's cool, and I thought that was a really good improvement. And fucking Benedict Wong, I'm so happy that movie gave us him. Right. Because now he's fucking awesome, too. They're both named Benedict.
What are the odds?
I've always thought that was funny. Yeah, and then Mads Mikkelsen was doing the best he could as Caecilius. One of the lamest fucking villains. Yeah, like, on par with Ronan and Malekith. In terms of, like, lameness and unmemorability. Yeah. Just literally the exact same thing as Malekith, where every single line he has is, I will bring about the age of darkness and blah, 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 blah. I have no fucking character. Yeah. But Mads Mikkelsen was trying his hardest. And then the big-ass elephant in the room, which is Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One.
The fuck, dude?
And here's the thing. Like, I've gotten over it at this point because it is what it is and you can't change it. But, and she did a good job, like, she was really good, but, like...
How much cooler would it have been
if you had cast an Asian woman in the role?
Yeah!
And again, it's the same thing, like, with the Mandarin, where they were like, it's that bullshit excuse, like, oh, we just didn't want to resort to stereotypes. Like, then don't resort to stereotypes!
Just put a fucking Asian person on screen and let them act. What a concept.
I know. It's like, come on, man. And you've got Wong in the movie, so you clearly don't care about, like, casting Asians in mystical martial arts style roles, which, why would you care about that in the first place? Again, it's not like you're giving them a thick Asian accent and buck teeth. Just fucking, it's not that hard.
It isn't.
And I remember when they announced Tilda Swinton, I was like, what?
Yeah.
You know, I was just like, what? But, you know, they were thinking like, well, it's okay because in the comics it was a man and we cast a woman, so you can't be mad at us. Like,
yeah, which is so fucking stupid. You can't, like, it's not pick a minority. They don't speak for all over. Like, woman is not equal to black person, and black person is not equal to black woman, and Asian woman is not equal to white woman.
Yeah, you gotta, like, whatever it was, pick that.
Like, just do, like, if there, and this is a separate conversation, but, like, just to shrink it, super simplify it. If something about a character, if their race is important to their character, then make the character that thing. Prime example, we'll get to it when we get to it, but like fucking Captain America giving Falcon the shield.
Right.
It's not really, Captain America doesn't have to be white or black or anything. But the Ancient One is literally an ancient Asian sorcerer. That's where he gets all his fucking knowledge from. So,
yeah. And, like, but here's the thing is, like, you should have 1,000%, because the character traditionally is portrayed as an Asian person. You should have, especially considering if you ever have the chance to do that, you should take it, you know, because of representation.
Yes.
But that is not to say that you necessarily, if a role, like, is martial arts related, that you have to cast an Asian person in that role. Because that was something that when Iron Fist came out, I was really confused that people were complaining that Iron Fist was white. Because for two reasons. I was like, one, he was always white in the comics.
Right.
And two, that's racist for you to fucking just say, oh, it's a martial arts character, it has to be Asian. Like, you're the one being racist in that situation. Like, you don't have to, but, like, it's not a problem if you do it. It's not stereotypical. Like, just don't make it stereotypical.
Yeah.
It's not hard to just, like, was Michelle Yeoh unavailable?
I feel like
she would have been a perfect fit for that character.
Exactly.
She would have been, like, the perfect choice. But, yeah, they picked Tilda Swinton instead. And again, like, I'm not knocking Tilda Swinton's performance because she did great. But, like, I'm just saying that was definitely a misstep. And I know that the point is supposed to be, well, the Ancient One can be anybody. And I'm like, I get the point you're trying to make, but it's stupid.
You know what
all I'm hearing is cop-out excuse after cop-out excuse.
If they wanted the Ancient One to be anyone for that excuse, it's fucking bullshit. Because I've seen this in tons of movies and shows and shit. To bring up, anytime I can bring up Avatar, I will.
Same.
Avatar, The Last Airbender, let me clarify. There is a character called Ko, and Ko steals faces.
Yes, he does.
So in his scene, throughout, what he does is if you are near him and you show any emotion and he sees it, he steals your face. So he's trying to get Aang to show emotion so he can steal his face. But, like, as he's doing that, his face is changing multiple times to try and get something out of him. Make that with the Ancient One. The Ancient One can be someone that changes every couple of seconds.
There you go. I mean, that's not like how it usually works, but if you want to make that change because you're changing so many other characters,
right?
I mean, like, I'm gonna think that's weird, but I'll get over it,
right?
You know, because yeah, I mean, if you're so intent on making it, like that, then just do that, you know, or again, just go with the simplest option and just cast an Asian person in the part. It wouldn't have been that hard, and you know, I don't know what kind of controversy you think you're sidestepping because the reaction to that was not positive. I don't know how you didn't see that was going to happen.
Right.
But yeah, it
was just a big old misstep.
Yeah, and that's really one of the few negatives in the movie. It's so great. Like the movie is it's still one of my favorites. It's just unfortunate that had to be associated with such a great movie.
Right.
And yeah, it's been 4 years since it came out, and I'm dying for the sequel, which we won't get for another 2 years.
Fuck, man.
I know. I'm so fucking pissed off because, God, especially considering how much of a breakout character Doctor Strange has become since then.
Dude, yes.
That makes me really happy how popular he is. Mm-hmm. I never thought I'd live to see the day where I have fucking family members who are not into this shit at all, just like referencing Doctor Strange out of the blue, knowing who he is. Like when I went down for the 4th of July this year and saw my family, what somebody said, like there were sparklers out in the yard, people with sparklers, and somebody said, "Looks like Doctor Strange or something," and I'm like, what a time to be alive. I never thought I'd see the day where someone would just pull that reference out.
Yes.
It's amazing. It's a great time to be a nerd.
I know. I love it. It's great.
And that's what this movie did, you know, because Ant-Man was the first step. Guardians was a big step, but this was like phase 3 was when we really started to go to more of like the B-list heroes who people weren't that familiar with, and bring them into the mainstream.
Yes.
And that's what this did for Doctor Strange, and I was really happy about that. And speaking of Guardians, next one up is
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yes, indeed.
Is a movie that I have mixed feelings on, and a movie that Jackson has negative feelings on.
More or less. I don't hate it. It's not awful, but it is, in my opinion, one of the very worst. Like bottom 3 easily. But yeah, everyone liked it because it gave them everything they could have asked for that they liked about the first one, except for good jokes. But yeah, no, because it had Chris Pratt being funny, it had Dave Bautista being funny, it had Baby Groot, it had Rocket doing the same thing he was doing in the first movie, it had cool action, it had, you know, good visuals, it was exciting, I guess. No, I don't really think it was, but because when I was doing my rewatch for Endgame this year, you know, it was interesting because I was seeing how I felt about all of them, like now. And no matter how subpar some of them were, like Age of Ultron or Ant-Man and the Wasp or like whichever ones it was, most of them I was able to like get through without being in pain. The only 2 where I legitimately was just like, can we just fucking get this over with already? Like I'm actively like wanting it to be over. The only 2 that were like that were Thor: The Dark World and this one. Because like, okay. So, the first Guardians was incredible. I talked about it already. It's one of the best. It had so many good jokes. And it set up James Gunn as like this big up-and-coming director who everyone loves and thinks is super talented. And I do think he's a talented director. But this one kind of made me doubt him as a writer. Because the first one, he had a lot of help.
Yeah. With
the script. Because the first one, and all of his stupid fanboys don't want to fucking acknowledge this, but it's a fact. Because when he got fucking fired from Guardians 3, everyone was all of his fanboys were freaking out and being like, "Oh, no one but James Gunn can write it. No one but James Gunn can write it. Even if he doesn't direct, he's got to write it because it's his vision and only he can write it." And I'm like, he co-wrote the first movie with somebody else. Nicole Perlman, great writer. She fucking co-wrote the first one with him. And not only that, she wrote the first draft of the script. It was her script, and then he came in and, like, you know, added a lot to it himself once he came on as director.
Right.
And he did contribute heavily to the script, but he wasn't the only one. And she was the one who made the original template. Like, so get out of my face saying that he's the only one who can write it.
Right.
And then in addition to that, and I'm assuming she was the one who wrote all the jokes in the first movie, because he clearly can't do it on his own.
Yeah.
Because the jokes in this one fucking sucked. But then also, in addition to that, Marcus and McFeely helped polish the script for the first movie.
Right.
So they did uncredited script polishing. So that's why I think that one worked out so well. Here, he was all on his own, and fucking Joss Whedon, the bastard, encouraged him to make it as much of a James Gunn script as he could. So, in other words, don't get anyone else's advice. Don't get anyone else to help you with it. And I think that was the problem. Because, first of all, it is painfully unfunny. There are maybe like 5 funny jokes in the whole fucking movie. The first joke is one of the worst. It just sets the tone immediately. Where he's like, why are you winking out of the wrong eye? Like, oh, I'm sorry, am I winking out of the wrong eye? And he keeps fucking doing it like, I don't understand. How does he not know that he's winking out of the wrong eye? What's the joke?
Yeah.
I don't understand. It's fucking stupid. And like so many, like the part where they're going through the asteroid field being chased by the gold people, and they're clearly trying to do this Empire Strikes Back type of like snappy dialogue where like he's trying to fly and they're yelling at him. He's like, shut up. You know, it's supposed to be very fast and snappy, and you want to get the jokes out really fast. It's like rapid fire. And you're a comedian. You know how to tell jokes right. You know how to deliver jokes right. Yeah. They don't fucking do it right because it's like it's supposed to be fast and snappy, and instead James Gunn just has no idea how to structure the jokes. They drag on for what feels like an eternity because, you know, instead of just going really fast, like there's one part in particular where he goes like, he drags the joke out for as long as he can because he's like, one of these days you're going to be sleeping and you're going to be in your sleeping bag and you're going to be asleep and I'm going to come to you and I'm going to do something and then you're going to say, what's this? And you're going to look at what it is and it's going to be a turd, but it's not going to be my turd. It's going to be Drax's turd. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You're going so far. Like it shouldn't be this drawn out.
Right.
It needs to be much faster if you want it to like hit as hard as it's supposed to. And then the punchline isn't even worth it because it's like, he said turd. Yeah. And then Drax goes, I have famously huge turds. Yeah. It's funny because he said turds. Like, it's fucking like 10-year-old humor.
Yeah, and the super like immature humor, I think it has a place, but because he had so much help with the first movie, it was balanced out more and there were actual punchlines. And it was
like funny.
Yeah,
like
this time around, there's like no payoff. Like it's just super immature, and so like when you have, if that's your sense of humor, you're like your toilet humor, your basic mundane. This thing doesn't really matter, but like I'm gonna drag it out type humor. Like that works in spurts, but that's so much of the movie.
Yeah,
that
it's every joke in the movie. It's just either unfunny or like 10-year-old fucking humor. Because there's another part later on where he just says a word over and over and it's supposed to be funny because he's like, wait a minute, so do you have a penis? Drax, I'm sure he has a penis. Yes, Drax, I have a penis. Well, he has to have a penis if you made a baby with your mother. And it's like, haha, he keeps saying penis. It's fucking funny.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ, I'm not 13. It's and that's an insult to 13-year-olds. Like, honestly, it's like, Christ. And so much of it is just so stupid. And then, like, there's so many fucking... Again, they just go so fucking far with the jokes where he's like, yeah, you stupid raccoon. I'm not a raccoon. You're right. I apologize. You're not a raccoon. Long-ass pause. I meant trash panda. Is that worse or is that better? Oh, that's so worse. It's so much... Like, you could have cut this joke in half.
Right.
It's so fucking long. Like, he doesn't know how to structure the fucking jokes and it's really annoying. And then, like... In addition to that, in addition to the fact that it is painfully unfunny, the pacing sucks. Like, the majority of the movie should be spent on Ego's planet, watching Peter how to learn to deal with his powers and his relationship with his father. That's what the majority of the movie should be. But instead, no, let's keep cutting back to the fucking Ravager ship. We have to have an entire subplot where the Ravagers stage a mutiny. And granted, that is where the only really funny joke in the movie comes in, is the Taserface joke. That was actually hilarious.
Right.
But it's not worth it because you're completely sidelining the main plot with like this unnecessary bullshit. And there's so many forced moments where it's just like, you know, why did Rocket steal the batteries? Because they needed the plot to move forward.
Yeah.
They needed the gold people to chase after them, which they didn't. The gold people are completely inconsequential to the fucking story.
Yeah.
They're literally just setting up Guardians 3 with Adam Warlock.
Yeah.
But
shiny plot devices.
Yeah, like it has no point whatsoever. He just steals it for no fucking reason because it's what the plot needs. But then they try to half-ass it towards the end where James Gunn is like, well, fuck, I guess I should probably have some kind of reason why he stole the batteries. Where Yondu's giving his big speech like, you steal batteries that you don't need because you're trying to get people to not like you. That's what it is. Like, that was so fucking half-assed.
Yeah.
Thrown in there at the last fucking minute. Like, the whole battery thing made no fucking sense. And then there's like, you know, so much other bullshit where it's like, what was it I was going to say? Something to do with Yondu. Where, oh yeah, and that fucking scene is so stupid. Like, there's these moments where it just dramatically changes in tone, where they're cracking jokes 1 second, him and Rocket, and like 2 seconds later, he launches into this like big dramatic, like, I know who you are, boy, cause you're me. It's like, where did this come from?
Right.
2 seconds ago, we were making jokes, we were jumping through wormholes. Like, what are you doing? It's dumb and it's so tonally inconsistent, and yeah, like it's not like the first one where each of them felt like they had a purpose. Each of them had their own arcs. In this one, Quill's got an arc. They don't spend nearly as much time on it as they should, but he's got one.
Right.
Gamora has one, but again, it's really fast. Like, and it's resolved ridiculously quickly. Where Nebula just tries to kill her. Nearly kills her. They nearly kill each other, and then it's just like, okay, I'm done. Yeah. I guess we're sisters now.
Yeah.
It's like, what? that was quick. They try to give Rocket one. I guess Rocket's is. I mean, I like what they were trying to go for with Rockets, where he pushes people away because he's an asshole. But again, it was so poorly done.
Yeah. Because
the shit with the batteries and all that, it just was so forced, and you know, none of it really worked that well. And then Groot, you forget, is there most of the time.
Right.
He's just there to get people to go, aw.
Yeah.
Like in the first one, he actually felt like a member of the team. In this one, he feels like a prop.
Yeah, in many ways, like this movie, it kind of feels like there's this meme where it's like Sunny D tastes like if someone was challenged to make orange juice without oranges. Guardians 2 feels like someone tried to recreate Guardians 1 without the heart.
Right. Or like the humor.
Yeah.
Or like anything that made it good.
It's just like just the bare bones. Like if someone was just like forced to write a couple sentences about Guardians 1. Yeah, it's about like family and trust issues and being not knowing where you belong in this world, and there's lots of jokes, and it's very fun and quirky, and someone's like, got it, I'll make the movie, without seeing the first movie at fucking all.
Yeah.
It's just a lot
That's
of
exactly what it's fucking like. You're exactly right.
Like, it's just, everything that you liked about Guardians 1 is either absent, or they beat it into the fucking ground.
Yeah. Like, or they... Yeah, that's exactly right. I can't put it any better than that.
Yeah.
Because... And it's weird because it came from the guy who directed the first movie.
Right.
But again, he had help last time.
Yeah, he clearly needed the help.
Clearly did. And
we did get one of the greatest lines. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all!
Fucking legendary.
That shit's great.
That is iconic. See, one of the like 5 funny jokes in the movie. That's one of them.
It sucks that something so good is in a movie so
I know, right?
But it happened.
Like that, the Taserface joke, and like again, so very few others.
Right.
And
they introduced Mantis. I wanted to see more of Mantis.
Yes, that was one of the positive things. Mantis I really liked her. I'm very happy she became a part of the team because she's been, a very key piece of the team since then. Mm-hmm. And she's the most adorable thing I've ever seen. And yeah, that was. And I was talking about in the last one how they each brought their thing to it. She brings her thing too, which is she's kind of just like the clueless one, but she also she is kind of like comic relief, but she also has a purpose because her powers can be very useful a lot of the time. Yes. And yeah, I think I'm very happy that they included her because the roster is getting more filled out now, and hopefully she'll help. Make up for Gamora's absence in the next one. No one really can.
Yeah.
But
so you'll certainly try.
Yeah.
But Guardians 2, I think it was it's an okay movie. A lot of flaws, but
it's just kind of basically.
And I think a lot can be said in the same vein about our next movie, although a little different. So the next movie in the chronological order is Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Yes, indeed.
Which I think is so with Guardians 2, you have an okay movie with a lot of flaws. With Spider-Man: Homecoming, I think you have a good/great movie with a lot of flaws. And really, the flaws can be summed up into 2 words: Tony Stark.
Yeah.
That movie, Spider-Man: Homecoming, is so. Let's go positive first because there's way more positive. Spider-Man: Homecoming. We get to see Tom Holland's Spider-Man in a full movie, in its own thing. We got our little scenes here and there in Civil War, but now we get to see Candy Carey's own movie. What is his vision of Peter Parker and Spider-Man? How does he balance that? And I think Tom Holland, as well as the movie, they do a good job of what I think is really important is they remind you that Spider-Man, Peter Parker, he is a teenager.
Yeah.
While this is happening, mm-hmm. he is balancing school life and puberty and love interest while also saving the world and all this shit. So it's a lot to balance.
He's making the webs in science class.
Yeah, exactly. So seeing this, watching this, he's literally a kid. He's struggling with these new powers and how they brought him in Civil War, obviously through his connection through Tony Stark. Tony Stark found out about this kid and he's like, all right, I'm gonna get you a good suit. And so now we're here on Homecoming, and this is Spider-Man doing his thing. And the movie is good. We get to see a quippy but adorable, still learning Spider-Man. And we get some of the, the callbacks. We get to him, saving a train and shit. But the problem, as I mentioned, is that Iron Man, Tony Stark, he comes into it too much.
I'm gonna take this one.
Please do.
Cause oh boy, I have. Cause here's the thing, I have the most airtight argument, whether any of you want to admit it or not, as to why Tony Stark's role in the movie is completely unnecessary and could be improved. So here's the problem. Tony Stark, as you said, is in it too much. And similar to how I said for Age of Ultron, if one more person tells me that it's okay that Ultron was quippy because he was made by Tony Stark, I'm going to kill him. The same goes for this. If one more person tells me that, they established in Civil War that Peter and Tony had a special relationship, so it makes sense why he fucking intrudes into every scene in the movie, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to track you down, and I'm going to kill you. I'm just daring them to type it in the comments at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, seriously, I don't. And just like with Ultron, what does that mean? I don't fucking care. That doesn't mean that they have to do this.
Right.
Because here's the problem. The main problem and why this doesn't work, because it betrays Spider-Man's character to the core. The special thing about Spider-Man, who, by the way, is my favorite superhero of all time. Right. So it pisses me off even more. The special thing about Spider-Man is he is a teenager who is also a superhero, When Stan Lee created him, the whole point was to show that teenagers could be superheroes too. Yes. Because at that point, teenagers were only sidekicks. You didn't have a teenage superhero. And he wanted to show that this fucking teenager with personal problems and all this shit could stand on the same level as Iron Man or Captain America or any of these other guys, you know? And that was the special thing about Spider-Man, like always. That was the essence of his character and what made him so special. And I hate how in this movie they treat him like a fucking junior Avenger. They treat him like a sidekick. It's insulting. It completely goes against the point of Spider-Man. Like every single time in any of the movies, fucking Tony says, the adults are talking. I want to go into the screen and kill him. Because I'm like, shut the fuck up. No, do not treat him lesser because he's a teenager. That goes against the whole point. Like, he is just, like, who are you? He doesn't need to answer to you or any of the other Avengers. He is just as much of a real hero. You wouldn't treat Ant-Man this way. You wouldn't treat Black Panther this way. Like, what's the difference between him and the rest of them? He's a teenager. And that's the problem. They're not supposed to treat him different. He's just like the rest of them. He can do it on his own just like the rest of them can. And it's insulting. You know? And like, Peter's entire identity, and really all of the movies he's been in so far, it's never anything about him. It's always about how he can please the Avengers. Please Tony. Mm-hmm. His whole identity in every movie he's been in so far. This one especially. Like, you don't need to prove yourself to anybody. You're fucking Spider-Man. You know? And it pisses me the fuck off. Especially considering he doesn't need your fucking bullshit suit, Tony. You take it from him, and he kicks the Vulture's ass with his crappy homemade suit.
Yep.
Later in the movie. And it drives me crazy. He's got the baby monitor program and the training wheels program. Like he's some kind of a fucking baby. Yeah. Like, no, it drives me insane. And you don't need Iron Man to help carry a Spider-Man movie. It is Spider-Man's movie. It is not a fucking, like, Iron Man and his sidekick Spider-Man. You're treating it like you're giving Robin a movie. And, like, Batman's got to keep coming in to clean up all his messes. This is not the same thing. Because, and here's the thing. You can keep Tony in the movie. Literally just cut out all that bullshit. You don't even really have to change any of the scenes. You just have to take some of them out. All you got to do, because, yeah, they do have this special relationship, so it makes sense how they would stay in touch. But literally just keep the scene at the beginning where they're riding back in the car, the scene in the middle where he's talking to him when he's like in Dubai or wherever the fuck he's at, and then the scene at the end where they talk there. But instead of like, yeah, I'm sorry I treated you like a baby, I shouldn't have done that. What he's supposed, like the whole point of the movie really should be like, you know, the reason Tony is ducking his calls isn't because he's treating him like a fucking kid. He's doing it because he's doing it because he knows that Peter doesn't need to be an Avenger. You know? That should have been that last scene between the two of them is, kid, I knew when I picked you to fight Captain America that you had what it takes. Right. I know that you're a fucking superhero. I've seen the videos. I've been ignoring your calls because you don't need us. You know? And, like, you're your own guy. You don't have to prove anything to me. That's what it should have been. But no. Fucking God forbid we make Spider-Man feel like a real hero who can stand on his own. No, he's a teenager, so we got to treat him like a fucking sidekick. It completely goes against everything he stands for and why he was created in the fucking first place. And see, but that's why it's such an airtight argument, because for all you guys who wanted to keep Tony in the movie and wanted to keep that relationship alive, there you go, it's still there. And it's better that way. Give me one good reason why you need to have him being treated like a sidekick. There is no actual reason why you need that. It's ridiculous. Am I wrong?
No. You know, and the thing is, like, the only reason why Tony is in it so much and acts the way he does is to make you sympathize with Peter. But here is the thing. You don't need to beat us over the head with the overprotective father figure type character for us to do that. Like, you see everything that Peter's going through, balancing his crush and schoolwork and also trying to impress the Avengers. Like, all that shit is still present whether or not Tony shows up and busts his balls every couple of seconds or does things for him.
That's what I was about to say. He's not just busting his balls. This is, it drives me crazy. They won't let him have the movie. They won't let him carry it. Because every time he gets into a situation, every time he's in a predicament, he never learns to get out of it on his own. It never shows that he's capable enough to get out of it on his own. Iron Man's got to swoop in and fucking do it for him.
Right.
It pisses me the fuck off. Because it's like, you know, he's fighting the Vulture at the beginning. Spider-Man is Spider-Man. He is just as capable as anyone else in the Marvel Universe. He should be able to fucking get out of this situation on his own. But no. Iron Man's got to swoop in and pick him up out of the lake. Like he's a baby. Like he's got to be saved. You know? Later on, when he's trying to, like, fix the boat, you know? Iron Man's got to show up and get him out of that, too. Instead of just letting Spider-Man learn on his own. Holy shit. My recklessness could have killed all these people. I need to be more careful in the future. No. All that happens is fucking Tony just comes in and does it for him. Why? Like, if that's what we're going to do, why not just have at the end, when Spider-Man is trapped under all the rubble, why not just have Tony come in and pick up all of it off of him? And then say, see, kid, I told you you should have just kept your nose to the ground. Now I'm going to go beat the Vulture. Why not just do that? Because he's got to get out of it on his own, and because he can get out of it on his own, because he's fucking Spider-Man. He is just as much of a hero as Iron Man or anybody fucking else. And just because he's a fucking teenager does not mean he should be treated like a sidekick who has to fucking earn getting into the Avengers. You know? Fucking Scarlet Witch was a bad guy for almost an entire movie. They just let her in without making her fucking prove herself. Fucking Spider-Man's gotta, like, work for it because he's a kid? Fuck that. It's complete fucking bullshit. And that is why I, you know, don't like this movie as much as I want. But despite all of that, that's only about 10% of the movie.
Yes.
It's a very, very big and impactful 10%, but it's the rest of it is actually really good. And if you had just taken that stupid bullshit out of it, this would have been an incredible movie. It would have been so great. But, like, nah, you gotta, you know, you gotta stick your MCU-laden dick in there. And it's not even just Tony either. They can't go more than 10 minutes without making some kind of an MCU reference.
Right.
Like the Captain America training videos, which were hilarious, but still,
yeah.
Excuse me, them referencing Thor's magic belt or whatever the fuck, and Cap's shield, and them fucking referencing Black Widow, and like they can't go more than 10 minutes. It's like watching an ABC Marvel TV show where they can't fucking go more than a minute without fucking referencing something else. And it's really kind of unbelievable how much they don't trust him to carry his own movie. They have to stick all the MCU shit in there.
Right.
And I'm like, believe it or not, before Iron Man came along, Spider-Man was the most popular Marvel hero that there was. Yeah. And that he hasn't really lost any of his popularity. Even if Iron Man has surpassed him, exactly. He's still like one of the most recognizable superheroes in the world. So why you don't trust him to carry his own movie, especially considering how much of a breakout character Tom Holland's version was, I don't get it. It makes no fucking sense. But I've probably talked about that enough. It is unfortunate that all that had to happen. But there are a lot of positive qualities about this movie.
Yeah, fucking Michael Keaton as the Vulture.
Great. And I don't think
Holy shit.
Yeah, and that's a case to me where it's weird because a lot of people think like he's one of the best villains they've had in a long time. Mm-hmm. I disagree. I don't think there's anything like... I don't think he's any more special than, like, you know, Yellow Jacket or any of the others.
Right.
But like a lot of those villains who are just kind of standard, it's what the actor brings to the role, and Michael Keaton fucking crushes it because he's Michael Keaton.
Yeah, I think of that scene where he's, like, dropping them off at, like, the fucking dance.
Great scene.
And he turns and just talks to him. Like, he was fucking scary as shit in that scene.
Yeah.
So I guess I could see why people think that, but outside of that scene, like, he's just kind of your standard villain.
Well, they think that because, like... his motivation is a lot different from the others because his thing is he's not trying to take over the world. His thing is more like,
the guys, the big guys like Tony Stark, they don't care about little guys like us. They just step all over us. We just got to do what we got to do to survive. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that is different, and I give him props for that. But that really only factors into that one little 10-second scene, like line of dialogue he has.
Yeah.
It's not like a core part of his character that's featured throughout the movie.
Right.
For most of the movie, he's just like a dude hiding out in a fucking shed.
Right.
But I thought they did a good job with him.
Yeah.
Because, they did a good job adapting him. He was really cool when he was the Vulture. Keaton brought a lot to the role. He was intimidating. There were a lot of good things about him, but I just don't get why everyone thinks he's, so special.
Right.
But, yeah, he was great. I absolutely, because I'm a massive fan of his, I love Bokeem Woodbine as the Shocker. I remember we were talking about this with Jordan, and he said, I don't really get, when they cast him, I was like, I wasn't really sure why they cast Bokeem, and I was like, I'll tell you why. Because why would you get someone who's not Bokeem Woodbine when you could get Bokeem Woodbine? And he was like, you're right. You get it. I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The rest of the villain gang I thought was pretty cool.
Yes.
We
got fucking Donald Glover.
Donald Glover as Miles Morales' uncle.
Dude.
I'll take it.
We can't get into Spider-Man, so we'll have him
I'll take
related to Spider-Man. A different Spider-Man.
I'll fucking take it. He was only in I think 2 scenes, and he was still fucking so funny.
But
it was one of the funniest jokes in the movie. Was I'm just trying to stick somebody up. I'm not trying to shoot them back in time.
Or when he's talking to Spider-Man, he's like, "Yo, you really need to get better at this part of the job.
I got ice cream in here, man." But no, I didn't tell you. You don't have a location yet. Yeah, he was great. Because he's Donald Glover.
Of course.
He's a fucking human dynamo.
Fucking Zendaya.
Zendaya was is it weird that she seemed ever since this movie, she seemed like a totally different person than she used to me.
Yeah.
Because I remember the Disney Channel days.
Right.
That was a very different Zendaya, I remember.
Yes.
And she's become not even the same person anymore. But I like it.
Yeah.
Because she's a movie star now.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just crushing it all over the place.
Yes.
And she was really good in this. I think Laura Harrier as the love interest was very good.
Yes.
I never expected to ever in my entire life see her again after this movie. I figured she would just be one of those actors who you don't think about, you never see again later. Then she popped up in BlacKkKlansman, and I was like, oh, okay, so you're around to stay. That's cool.
Good
and that's good because she's talented. And then I was so upset when they did this at first, but now I love it. Fucking Marissa Tomei.
Yeah.
I was so
God.
I was so upset
God.
when they announced that, but now not only am I just on board with it, and not only do I think it makes sense because it never really made sense why she was a grandma instead of an aunt in the first place. But and I never also thought I would want to fuck Aunt May.
But here we are.
Here we are.
The things I would do to get next to Aunt May.
Oh my God. But yeah, God forbid they ever introduce Uncle Ben. Whew. God only knows what he looked like.
Yeah, Uncle Ben's gonna have a fucking 6-pack. You can see it.
For sure.
Ned's character, I don't know who the actor is, but Ned was fucking great.
I have been waiting ever since this movie for him to become a thing.
Yes.
That actor, Jacob Batalon, I have been waiting. He was just in a Netflix movie this year that I haven't seen yet called Let It Snow. That was fairly popular. I want to watch it.
Yes.
I saw him in the trailer and I was like, yes, my man is finally fucking getting on MCU roles.
Yeah, put him on more shit, man.
The guy in the chair. Gotta fucking love him. Yeah, this had a really big Martin Starr was so funny as the teacher. Oh my God. I'm just glad because, it'd be a shame to lose somebody on a trip. Again. What?
Yeah.
But yeah, it had a lot of good qualities. It had a mostly good story, a lot of funny jokes. Fucking Hannibal Buress was hilarious as the gym coach.
Yes.
And that was one of the funniest jokes in any of the movies to me, where he's like, "All right, yeah, I'm pretty sure this dude's a war criminal now, but whatever, it's required by the state." Great post-credit scene.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's Spider-Man: Homecoming. The real silver lining in it all was that movie established, it really drove home, pun intended, the fact that was his homecoming.
Yes.
Like, he was in the MCU, we had him back.
Right.
And that was nice.
He's on our team.
Exactly.
Yeah. And speaking of someone who has been here a while and who definitely needed a homecoming, a return to form.
Oh, yes.
In Thor Ragnarok. Not copyrighted. This shit.
Come at me, Led Zeppelin. Come at me.
Thor Ragnarok is a favorite of many.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Favorite of mine.
One of my favorites for sure.
And I say it's a return to form because, like, as boring and as unmemorable as The Dark World was, he needed this.
This was like our first genuinely great Thor movie since 2011.
Yeah, like, can you imagine?
And and our first Thor movie period in like 4 years.
Yeah.
They waited a while to give Thor his third movie.
Right.
Like,
and I'm glad they took their time because this Ragnarok is such a fucking ball, dude.
Oh my god.
It brought back what made the first Thor so good. You spend so much time on this fucking Jeff Goldblum planet, which Jeff Goldblum, by the way,
the absolute best.
Like, holy shit.
He absolutely knocked it out of the fucking park.
He crushed it. He was so much fun.
He was born to play that fucking. I don't even think they gave him a script.
No,
I think he
gave him a costume.
They just said, like, talk.
Speak.
Like, be yourself.
Yeah, and just fuck, man. Like, just from the very opening, where you just have Thor, like, dangling from the chain, spinning around, and he just like, oh, sorry, just give me a second, let me. Like, we knew, like, oh, we're fucking back. Let's do this.
And that was cool about this one. This one, unlike the other two, it was so different. It was a straight comedy, unlike the other two.
Yes.
It was like, it kind of blew up everything you knew about the first two. Because, like, Asgard, gone.
Right.
Fucking Hulk is in it. Odin, dead.
Yes.
Warriors 3, dead. Sif, not in it. Jane Foster and the Science Gang, gone. It really just blew the whole thing up. Thor's long hair, gone.
Yeah. His hammer, gone.
Mjolnir, gone.
It's all gone.
Yeah, they blew up the whole thing. But it worked because, like, it was... This is the best Thor movie to me.
Yes, it is.
I say that as a massive fan of the first Thor movie.
Right.
This is the best one because, like, it was such a... much like Mjolnir, it really just charged the fucking franchise back up.
Yes.
Gave it so much more electricity, and it was like, hell yeah, he's back, bigger than ever, better than ever, and yeah, it was one of the funniest movies, like Guardians level humor.
Yes.
Excuse me, where it was just hysterical and much like Civil War and Winter Soldier. A lot of characters, an ensemble movie, and every one of them got their moment. Thor had a lot to do. He was great. Loki was great in this one. Significantly less evil.
Yeah.
But that's because, by this point, it felt natural. He's had a lot of time to just chill. Mm-hmm. He's calmed down just a little bit. Yeah. And... fucking, we were mentioning this during Iron Man 3, how we didn't get a female villain for a long time. Finally got one here.
Did we ever?
And
hella.
Kate Blanchett. I try every time I watch that movie so hard to not think about how fucking fine Kate Blanchett looks in that costume. But I am powerless to stop myself.
Oh my god!
It is a futile endeavor indeed. Goodness gracious.
Yeah,
with that
she
hair,
rocks that thing.
With that fucking hair.
God, that fucking black hair.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember my own name for a second. Yeah, and then she's also, maybe not in terms of motivation, the most special villain in the world, but I've said it 1,000 times already, it's what the actor brings, and Kate Blanchett is a fucking... one of the best actors working right now, so you knew she was going to bring a lot to it.
Right.
And
she fucking broke Mjolnir with her hand.
She legit, dead ass, fucking just caught it with her hand and crushed it like that.
If
that doesn't set a villain up to be a threat,
like,
I don't know what the fuck does.
That's how you make your fucking mark, dude.
That's how you do a villain introduction.
Right.
You know? Like scared them both to the point where Loki was just like, fuck this, man. I could fucking lead an assault against the Avengers, but she's here. I'm a dip.
Not fucking with her.
Because she just broke Mjolnir.
Yeah. You can't compete with that.
I'm afraid. But yeah, and the Grandmaster Jeff Goldblum, he was great. Tessa fucking Thompson as Valkyrie was fucking great.
She was the shit, dude.
Yeah, and it makes me smile seeing how far Tessa Thompson has come. Because I remember all the way back in 2015 when she was starting to like show up and shit. The first thing I ever saw her in was Creed. And I remember seeing her in that. I had no idea who she was. And I was just like, you were good in this. I really liked you. And then I didn't think about her again. And then she showed up in, what was the next thing she was in? I think it was Westworld? It was something else. She did a movie the next year. And I was like, hey, you're back. Cool. And you're still doing good stuff. And then she just kept doing more and more and raising her profile. And then she was in this, and she's done Thor Ragnarok, Annihilation, Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
So much good work. And it always makes me smile to like just think about back then and see how far she's come. And this is probably my favorite performance of hers. Yeah. It was weird because she was doing a British accent.
Yeah.
Which the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, that's different.
Right.
But yeah, she was great. And then
Korg and Meek.
Korg, the fucking breakout character to end all breakout characters.
Yeah.
What a guy. And fucking Meek. Oh my god, fucking Korg is the greatest. Like, it's like Drax in Guardians. Like, 80% of the best lines come from Korg. And yeah, just so many great... fucking The Executioner.
Yes.
Oh my god. Yes. God bless Carl Urban. What was it? He had a lot of great stuff. And yeah, very, very brilliantly directed by Taika Waititi, who, boy, has he blown the fuck up in the last few years. God bless him, what a talent. Continuing to do great work. And he was the guy for this. Because a lot of people, when the trailer came out, were like, oh, this is just cribbing Guardians. It's so not. Yeah. He so brought his own style to this. We were talking about color. The way he used color was fucking great. He used every color on the rainbow in this fucking movie. And it worked. It made it look very visually appealing, very dazzling. The production design was outstanding. On the fucking Grandmaster's planet, I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah, me neither.
But yeah, it was the whole thing. Great fight scenes. Fucking the fight between Thor and Hulk in the arena. Yes. Fucking great.
Oh, it's just a friend from work.
You know what the really cool thing is about that? There's a really cool story behind that line. He got that line. Chris Hemsworth was like doing a thing, you know, like the celebrities do when they visit like kids with cancer in the hospital, and when they dress up as the characters. And he was doing that, and he was dressed as Thor, and he was talking to one of the kid cancer patients, and he's the one that came up with that line.
Really? And
he thought it was really good and asked if he could put it in the movie, and they said yes. I always thought that was really touching.
Awesome.
That must have made that kid's fucking year, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I got a line in a Marvel movie. Thor said something that I said that's fucking awesome.
Right, immortalized.
And yeah, I just thought, and the fight on the bridge.
Yes.
The fight on the bridge was fucking great.
Yo, the fucking... One of my favorite things, where they're on the fucking
I know
jet.
what you're going to say, yep.
And so Bruce is on the jet. And they're like, oh, fuck, I gotta get out there and help him because Hela's got this big-ass fucking beast. And so he's like, all right, fine. Like, I got this. And then Falcon's like, what are you gonna do? And he's like, you're about to sink. And he jumps out of the fucking jet and just boom, like he bounces off of the bridge, which is such a brilliant play off of the original Incredible Hulk movie.
Yep.
Because you're like expecting him to like turn into the Hulk before he hits the ground. No, fuck, he just bow. He's down. And then he comes in later as Hulk, but like that was such a great like play
hilarious.
on expectation.
And when
I cried.
When we saw that, because I had already seen it, and then you, me, and Andrew all saw that together, and neither of you had seen it, and for some reason, none of us were sitting together. We were all like on opposite sides of the theater.
Right.
You were on the exact opposite end of the theater as me. And when that scene happened, I could hear you laughing all the way from the other side of the theater. So that was funny.
It was so good, man.
That was one of the best jokes in the movie. And this one was cool because one of the few characters from the old movies who does actually come back is Heimdall. And I like how in each movie they gave him a bigger part because if you've got Idris Elba, you got to make use of him.
Yes.
And he came in this one all badass and shit, like I've been hiding out on the outskirts and all that. Like I'm the new Heimdall who's like on the outskirts of the town or the village or whatever. And it's like, all right, I like this.
Yeah, he was like a shepherd and shit.
Basically, that's what he looked like. And yeah, a lot of great stuff about this one. Really well paced. I like the dynamic between Thor and the Hulk.
Yes.
I wasn't a huge fan of the Hulk's voice, but I thought they could have made it better. But
Hulk said same.
Did he?
Yeah. They were bonding. I forget what Thor said to set him up. He was basically like, I have control over my emotions or whatever. And then he's like, yeah, same. Thor like fire.
Yeah.
Hulk like fire. You like puny, small fire.
Hulk like raging fire. Thor saw Hulk's dick.
Yeah. Yeah, and it horrifies me.
It's burned into his brain forever.
Yeah, because on one hand, I'm just kind of like, well, now I want to know. But now I'm like, well, fuck, why do I want to know?
I'd be terrified to see it.
Oh, I'd be screaming with terror. But like, I feel like just for my own sanity, I need to know what it looks like. But at the same time, if I now know what Hulk's dick looks like.
I can think of no better way to segue into our next
Let's get away from that shit and move on to Black Panther.
Indeed. You want to talk about one of the absolute best. This is like top 5, top 4 for me still.
Yeah.
God, this one was so... Man, they made us wait for this one. They really made us fucking wait because, like, okay, we did get Black Panther already in Civil War, so it's not like we hadn't seen him yet, but damn it, I wanted a movie.
Yeah.
And they made us wait 10 years after the damn thing started to finally get him. Because it was supposed to be 9 years, but then Spider-Man pushed him back once they announced that, and I was like, damn you, Spider-Man. But then I think we could agree it was very worth the wait.
Yeah, easily. Like, one of the best movies in this collection.
Yeah. And
a great fucking debut, a big national debut, a movie that is very culturally important. All right, it is a massively, unapologetically black cast. Right?
Oh yes,
it's huge.
Oh yes,
it's
not including the Tolkien white guys.
Of course. Yes,
I love that term.
Yeah, like it's such a it's a good movie. It's got Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther,
who absolutely fucking crushes it.
Yeah,
he was great enough in Civil War. But, like, oh my god, did he fucking shine in this one.
He brought it. Like, he had more emotional depth. He got to play with that shit more. And just the struggle he had to go through with fucking Killmonger, who is Michael B. Jordan, which is great because he was Human Torch in the movie we don't speak about. And so we're just like, oh, well, shit, this is your second chance. And he blew that shit out of the fucking water, dude.
Yeah.
Killmonger is like what many people like to say is like one of the best best villains in the MCU.
Yep.
And a lot of people say is like the best one since Loki. And fucking like Killmonger is a good villain because he plays into a lot of emotions that real world things. Yeah. It's the conflict. It's not just an easy way of like, oh, the villain is bad. It's like, well, he just wants to help people, disenfranchise people.
And see, that's one of the cool things about it is like he is a villain, but it's different from like a lot of the other villains because like, you know, his goals, unlike a lot of the other villains, like you understand what he's trying to do. It's just the way that he's going about it.
Exactly.
That's not right. And that's the cool thing. Like I heard someone point this out once and it's really interesting. This is like the one time, at least that I can think of, where the hero learns something from the villain, you know? Because, like, Killmonger, as bad as he was, made T'Challa realize that, like, okay, his methods were flawed, but you know what? We got to start helping people because we can.
Right.
And so I am going to help people. I'm going to build the center or whatever, and I'm going to start sharing our resources with the rest of the world and all that. So he did kind of learn something, and that was interesting. We hadn't seen that kind of a dynamic between a hero and a villain before.
Right.
You know? So that was cool. And yeah, Michael B. Jordan also, I think, brought a lot to the character.
A lot of charisma, a lot of intelligence, a lot of swagger, a lot of emotion, a lot of anger.
There were a few scenes where I thought he was a little bit off, but for the most part, I thought he did a really solid job. He just had a couple of really weird line deliveries here or there.
Yeah.
But and he was cool. He was badass. The scene where he fucking mops the floor with Black Panther.
Oh yeah.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah, you beat that ass.
Yeah. Because he's been waiting his entire life for this. But yeah, so that was cool. And like you said, the cast was great. This had one of the best ensembles because everyone had their moment and it was so perfectly cast. You had Boseman, you had Jordan, you had fucking Lupita Nyong'o in what was at that time the first live-action role I had seen her in since 12 Years a Slave. I was like, holy shit, I almost forgot what you look like. You've been voicing characters for so long now. That was really cool to see her. And fucking my girl, Danai Gurira.
Yes.
Fucking, I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
She was so fucking good.
I was so happy to see her in this because, you know, I'm a massive Walking Dead fan.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it's Michonne! So that was perfect. And she crushed it. Okoye was so fucking cool.
A badass.
Legitimately, just like, the Dora Milaje were all cool, but she was the head. You know? So, like, naturally, she's the most badass one.
Fucking the breakout star, Winston Duke.
M'Baku, leader of the Jabari tribe.
God, what a fucking interest.
I know.
We have watched from the mountains.
As your technological advancements are overseen by a child
who scoffs at tradition.
God, he was so. We're running into a theme here. Most of the best lines in the movie are from M'Baku.
Yeah, like 80%, like Drax and like Korg. 80% of the best fucking jokes and lines come from M'Baku. And man, like he was the biggest wild card to me because he was really the only member of the cast that wasn't that well known.
Right.
And I was confused at how they were even going to bring him in the first place because I knew they had Killmonger, I knew they had Claw, and I was like, that's two villains already. How are you going to bring in Manape? Mm-hmm. And then he ended up being like one of the breakout stars of the movie. And now, this guy who we didn't know, again, he was the only unknown member of the cast. We all fucking love Winston Duke now. And he's doing good work all over the place now. He was so great in Us.
Yes.
And, and it's funny because there's a scene in this where he goes, Us? You are the first chief to come here in centuries, and you talk about us. And I'm like, it's as if he knew.
Yeah, Jordan Peele's watching like, I have an idea.
Right. And also, one of the loves of my life, Angela Bassett.
Yes. The queen. God,
my God.
So graceful, so great. Like, fuck.
Just perfect for that role.
Yes.
Because, like, who the fuck else was going to play that part?
I can't think of anyone else.
Who the fuck else was going to... Of course it was going to be Angela Bassett.
Exactly.
Like, when Ryan Coogler was doing it, he was like, okay, so naturally we have Angela Bassett. Who the fuck else do we cast? And then who... okay, he was really only in about 4 scenes. To me, he was the most... He gave, besides Chadwick Boseman, possibly the most impressive performance in the movie, Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, he was great.
Oh my God, I love him so much. And he was so... Again, only in 4 scenes, and he managed to be such a show stealer, such a big presence, because he's Forrest Whitaker. He's a fucking pro. Right. Like, he can do that with just 4 scenes. And I fucking love it whenever Forrest Whitaker gets emotional. It's one of the most enjoyable things to watch. Your father killed his own brother to save my life. I love watching him do that.
Oh, God. Yeah. Fucking Letitia Wright, Shuri.
The other one who people didn't know about.
Yes.
I forgot about her. Yeah, I'm waiting for her to fucking show up in something
Seriously,
else.
put her in more shit.
I heard she was in an episode of Black Mirror, so that's something.
Good. Okay.
But I'm waiting for her to like get a big part in a movie. Because I'm like, Winston Duke is like blowing up. Like, when is she gonna get something?
It's your turn.
Because she's great too. And I was about to. This made me think of. Apparently, she's British in real life. So was Kaluuya, who was great. And it was weird because Get Out was so fresh in my mind when this came out, and I was like, "Oh shit, okay."
Right.
And you like sound so different in this too. It's like this is a change. It was so funny to me how like in Get Out he was the victim of one of the worst betrayals in cinematic history, and then in this one, he was responsible for a cinematic betrayal. What goes around comes around, I suppose. Fucking punk ass Wakabi. Fucking punk ass piece of. We already talked about Andy Serkis in Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
His one scene in that was even better in this.
Yeah.
Like, because he had so much more to do.
Exactly.
Just the unrestrained joy you could see on his face. He was having more fun than anybody else.
Yeah,
in the
he was
movie.
fucking nuts, dude. He was just going like the fucking scene where he's in the interrogation room and he's just like in the mirror. He's like, "What is love? Baby, don't hurt me." He's screaming at Martin Freeman. "Don't hurt me no more."
A fucking and you can so tell. I feel like this was an ad-lib from him when they're coming out of the club and he's like, "Oh, that was awesome!" Like he's having so much fun. I just love it.
He has a SoundCloud.
Can they please drop a Claw mixtape? Marvel, if you could drop a Claw mixtape, please.
Yeah, make it happen.
Hottest mixtape of 2019. Martin Freeman also. I love American Martin Freeman so much. He's always so much fun.
Right.
Fucking Fargo ass Martin Freeman. Like, oh, well, I'm an agent of the U.S. government. I fucking love it. And yeah, I think that genuinely everyone got their moment in the spotlight. Like, no one was snubbed. And, oh my God, you want to talk about, to me, the best thing in the movie. The cast is great. The story's great. The characters are great. The best part of it for me was the direction.
Yes.
Ryan
Coogler.
Fucking, my faith was well placed. Because I was thinking to myself the whole time, excuse me, if they let him do his thing, because sometimes they don't. We've seen it with, like, Edgar Wright, Shane Black, regardless of who's at fault. You know, they kind of try to, they sometimes have creative differences with certain directors. And I was like, if they let him do his thing, this will be great. I have no doubt, because he's Ryan Coogler. And my faith was well placed, because, like, genuinely, it is one of the best directed. It's one of the best shot. I just think he did such a great job. Like, especially, one of my favorite parts of the movie is the part where they're flying into Wakanda for the first time. Just like the build up and then just like getting into the city and you see it for the first time and it looks great. They did such a good job designing Wakanda. And also the fucking fight scene where towards the beginning where Black Panther is fucking up all the soldiers. Love that. It's one of my favorite fight scenes in the whole MCU. And yeah, just all around, this one really, really slapped.
Yeah.
And I really do sincerely think this is one of the best ones they've done. And yeah, I couldn't have asked for them to do a better job. Cause yeah, and it was so satisfying because, you know, like with Doctor Strange and Ant-Man, I waited for them for a long time. Yeah. But they made us wait a decade for Black Panther to get his own movie. Right. And I was like, he's finally.
And now, it was worth the fucking wait.
Yes, much like
our next movie, which is the highly anticipated Avengers: Infinity War. This is when shit got real. Now,
oh yes,
we just to give a little bit of perspective, all right? Like Marvel has been putting out these movies for a while. This is like a period where we had gotten Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, and now Infinity War very close together.
Oh yeah, they were on a hot streak right here.
Right, and so we come to Infinity War. This is the big. It's part one of the last of the Avengers, like the ending of Phase 3.
The ending of the game.
Yes, thank
I
you.
suppose.
The ending of the game, and this was a big one.
Oh,
this I said the word Avengers in the title, so you know it's an ensemble movie, and you've got everyone in it. But it's just we've got more characters to incorporate now. We've got to incorporate Doctor Strange. And we got to bring in Black Panther and all these other characters because fucking Thanos is here.
He got out of his chair finally.
After all this time, we talked so much shit, and he got his ass out of the chair.
Oh, did
we wanted
he
him
ever.
to sit back down. Like he got the Infinity Gauntlet, and this whole movie is about him getting the Infinity Stones. And we're watching this movie, and we're just like, surely he's not going to get all of the stones.
Or if he does, someone's going to stop him before he does anything. And I don't think we've ever been wronger in our entire fucking lives.
God, so we got to backtrack.
Hashtag never forget.
We got to backtrack.
Okay, so as you all know, this was the most anticipated movie of the century. Like, aside from maybe Star Wars Episode 7.
Right.
This was like the biggest fucking thing to ever happen. And it was like, I could not believe it when I sat down in the theater and this movie started. Like, within a minute, I was in total disbelief because Infinity War was always something that seemed like it was always just going to be in the future. For so many years, we were building to it. We were talking about it. It was always something that like seemed like it would never get here. We'd always just be chasing it, and it was here. I was watching it, you know, and I mean, and the thing was like, will they deliver?
Right.
Because our expectations could not possibly have been higher. Like, this is the beginning of the end, you know, and we didn't really know what Endgame was going to be. We didn't even know what the hell it was going to be called at that point. So this was the only thing we had to represent the ending of the Infinity Saga. And obviously, considering it's the end of the Infinity Saga, our expectations couldn't have been higher. And they surpassed them.
Yep.
They didn't just meet them, they surpassed them.
Yep.
It was the most perfect version of what it could have been because they got rid of Joss Whedon. They brought in the Russo brothers,
yes,
who were destined to do this movie and the next one. And Marcus and McFeely came on to write, who were also destined to do it. You got the best people involved, and they delivered. They really, like, rewarded you for sticking with it for 10 years.
Yes.
You know? And, God, there's so much to unpack. Like, one of the best scripts in the whole thing.
Super solid.
It is unbelievable how well structured it is.
Yes.
It should be taught in screenwriting classes when teaching how to structure a movie. This is one of those like big prime examples because I can't even imagine how exhausted the Marcus and McFeely were after writing this and Endgame.
Yeah.
Like there are like 50 fucking characters and they all have their moment.
Yes.
They all get and even the ones who aren't in it as much, like Black Widow, you know, who only probably has about 10 lines in the whole movie. Like she still has her moments to shine in like the fight scenes.
Right.
You know? She fucking kicks Proxima Midnight's ass. And it's fucking cool. It's awesome. And they all, I mean, oh my God, I'll never forget watching this and fucking, you know, that it was such a big payoff. Thanos finally showing up. Because like he said, like we said before, he was just the guy in the chair for so long. But then not only did he fuck shit up, it was awesome to see him fuck shit up and see how big of a threat he was. But this was when we finally got to figure out who he was as a character.
Yeah.
And this really was kind of his movie.
Yeah.
He had more screen time than anyone else.
Yeah, it was his origin story.
I mean, it was like, yeah, it was about him more than, you know, he had more focus than anyone else. And like, totally went in a different direction from where they were setting it up in the Avengers. The death thing was not what they went with. They went with more like, I want to correct the universe, get rid of half of all life so the other half can thrive. And people, it's been said to death, people have pointed out, like, well, why couldn't he just replenish the resources? Why did he have to, like, get rid of half of everything? And okay, he could just, like, replenish the resources. But he didn't, because that's who he is. That's his character.
Right.
In his mind, this is the more logical option. And that just speaks to who Thanos is as a character. You know? Like...
That's what makes villains. Like, if he were to just give everyone resources, that doesn't make him a villain. Like, villains, I think, personally, the best villains are those who don't realize that they're villains.
Right.
Those who think that they're helping, that the world will be better with them, their presence, them doing something. And he truly believed that, like, because in his mind, he was gracious. It's callous, but it's necessary.
And he's this one guy who thinks he knows what's best for the entire universe.
Yeah.
Like,
how egotistical is that?
I know. He thinks that, and of course he takes himself out of the equation. It's easy to say this when you're not one of the people who's fucking getting disintegrated.
Very true.
And you don't have anybody you care about who's going to get disintegrated.
Right.
You fucking threw the one person you cared about off a cliff.
Yeah.
You know, because that again, like, that also speaks more to his character. You say, like, well, why wouldn't he? He doesn't care.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about people's lives. He doesn't understand because he doesn't care about anyone. There's no one, he's not going to be affected, and he doesn't have anyone he cares about who's going to be affected. So it's impossible for him to, like, think about it from that perspective. And that just speaks to his character.
Yeah, he's so truly apathetic about the universe that he has convinced himself that he will be the savior.
Yeah.
That's how warped his mind, and that's what makes a good villain.
Yeah.
There is a nugget of truth. There is something, what their motivation is mostly good, arguably. You can relate to them, you understand it. Because who doesn't want everyone to thrive and have resources? But then when you say, I'll kill half of all life, you're just like, whoa, holy shit. And the fact that he made that decision, that he truly believes what he's doing is right, is what makes a good villain. And that's why Thanos is such a compelling villain, because he's got so much charm. Like, he's so calm when he's saying this crazy shit. Mm-hmm. And he really wants people to, like, understand him. He levels with Gamora, because Gamora is the only person he cares about. He really wants her to understand. Like, he calls her a little one. Mm-hmm. All of it. That's, like, the only time that he's, like, gentle and soft. And even as he's talking about eliminating half of all life, he's calm. He's chill. He's talking to you. And fucking Josh Brolin.
Oh my god.
Making this big purple fucker charming until he didn't need to be.
Yeah. Like,
just to flip it. Like, yeah. Holy shit.
Brolin was clearly the guy to do this.
Yes.
And it speaks to how memorable he was and how memorable the character was. Because when this movie came out, it's only been a little over a year since it came out. Josh Brolin was already a very established actor, known for a lot of roles. And I think this is going to be the most memorable one of his career. Mm-hmm. The thing that people will always remember him for above everything else. Because he brought the biggest villain of the decade, one of the biggest of the century, to life.
Yeah. And
made him this three-dimensional character who we all hated.
Yes.
You know? And yeah, he genuinely, I think, was the standout. And it was so, because I remember I was thinking to myself after it was over, I was thinking, like, every MCU actor was in this movie. They all did great. But who would I say was the standout amongst everybody? And I said, it's got to be Brolin.
Easily.
He was the standout. Like, because he just, you know, he knew the character. He really, really did his best. And he really understood it and clearly made all the right choices, didn't make him too overbearing, made him, like you said, gentle when he needed to be, more like charming, I guess, when he needed to be. But then in a second, he can turn brutal and fuck up, like, everybody.
Right.
You know? And he was just so great.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, the emotional impact of this one, unfucking believable.
That was so sad when fucking Gamora got thrown off the cliff.
Yeah.
And that was really cool because everyone was saying, you know, when Guardians came out, they were saying, Gamora's the least interesting one in the group. What I say, Russo brothers clean up everybody else's messes.
Yep.
They're like, well, okay, Gamora is going to be the most interesting Guardian in this movie. She's going to get the most depth and the most backstory and the best arc out of all the Guardians in this movie.
Yes.
So there you go. Fix that problem. Loki dying was sad as fuck.
Yeah.
That was like a huge, huge deal. The whole fucking Asgardian ship getting blown up.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking Heimdall going out like a badass.
Yeah.
That was sad.
Thanos did all that shit in the beginning of the movie.
The opening scene.
Like, just to let you know what's going on. And
asserting his fucking dominance right off the bat.
Yeah, and it was darkness. Like, just the way they did the beginning of this movie. Like, Thanos comes in, he's fucking shit up. He destroys Asgard. He whoops Hulk's ass, kills Loki, and he's just like, all right, time to get the stones. Like, it's just another day at the office for him.
Basically, yeah.
Like
he's done this 1,000 times, and he'll do it 1,000 more, you know, if he has to.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't set him up as, like, the biggest MCU villain ever, I don't know what could.
Yeah.
You know? You want to... Oh, God, emotional impact. We all remember. We will always remember. Each one of us sitting in the theater when this fucking movie came out and watching them all turn to dust.
Yeah.
Never fucking forget.
I have a very different experience from everyone else.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, just because when Thanos got all the stones, and we're like, oh shit. And then he snapped. And then we're like, alright. Because the way they did it was so good. Because when he snapped, like, we're expecting, okay, so clearly half of existence gone. How is he going to do it? Are they just going to disappear? And they're going to turn into dust in such a slow manner. You see them fading away.
Yeah.
And the Avengers are watching their friends. People, like, and they didn't show it, but, like, around the world, people are just witnessing, like, people next to them just turning into dust. But for me, when I watched it, I personally thought it was hilarious. I thought that...
So you don't have a heart?
No, I do have a heart. Let me keep talking. Like, everyone turning into dust, it was just like, I thought it was kind of funny. But what got me, just like what got everyone...
I know what you're about to say.
...is fucking Tom Holland. I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark.
Oh my god.
I don't want to go. Please, I don't want to go. Please. Like, he's like hugging him, and like Tony fucking Stark, who is like, I brought him into this shit. He just wanted to be a superhero, and now he's dead for it. And like, that's what fucking got me, because I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But then, like, right afterward, you've got T'Challa. Okoye, stand up. This is no place to die, and he disappears. So it's like back into the shit, but like
and when I saw it, there was a woman behind me when T'Challa disintegrated who like gasped very loudly.
The king is gone.
The king is dead.
Yeah, but like he erased it, and the crazy thing, and they did this shit so well because half of existence is gone. Mm-hmm. The Avengers are processing this shit. But then they show Thanos. Like, instead of it being about the Avengers dealing with it, they show Thanos goes into a portal, and he sits down, and he's smiling over a fucking sunset, which is, in a vacuum, a happy moment. But, like, knowing, like, what this fucker just did to all of existence.
Yeah.
For watching him smile and be happy, and and theaters across the world, we're just completely silent, processing this shit. And the worst thing, too, is this is a Marvel movie, so we're like, please, what is the post-credit scene? I need more context. What is going on? We all have to sit there with this knowledge, waiting. We can't go out and cry in the privacy of our own cars. We have to wait for the credits to end to see what's next. And we did see what was next. It was a teaser for the next movie.
But
No, it's not the next movie.
You're right. You're right.
But what we saw was more people getting fucked up.
Yes.
So it was like you made us wait to watch fucking Fury and Hill die too.
Yeah, just more pain.
Like cool. All right, I see how it is. Fucking, you just twisting the knife in even more, huh?
Exactly.
You've already fucking killed me. Now you're just doing it for fucking amusement.
Yeah, and as we saw for the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer, they clearly know that we wait. So like the fact that they knew, like, all right, they're gonna wait for the post-credit scene, and we're gonna show them more death, more pain. Let's show you exactly who else dies.
Yeah, and yeah, I just yeah, and it was. It had the realest emotional impact, and I knew they weren't gonna stay dead, but that doesn't matter because it was still like this massive, massive thing where you just couldn't believe it was going down. And like I knew because I pay attention to this shit, and because I know they're not fucking dead.
You're right.
But most audience goers don't know that.
Yeah.
They're like, holy shit, they actually just fucking killed half the fucking MCU. Like I can't believe this. Yeah, it was, needless to say, it was a very big deal. And that, at the time, I thought was the greatest one, because how could it not be?
Yeah.
They fucking did it perfectly. But I cannot say the same thing about our next film.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
And I've warmed up to this one a little bit more as time has gone by. Because when I saw it, I thought to myself, well, they did it. They beat Thor the Dark World. This is the worst one I've ever seen. But since then, I've just come to realize, like, okay, nah, this one isn't as bad as I thought. It's still one of the worst. But because it's just so nothing.
Yeah.
It is so nothing. It was, like, really kind of rushed.
Yes.
The pacing was all over the place.
Yes, indeed.
The humor was all right.
Yeah.
Like, not super funny. Not like that bad, but not super funny either. There were a few good jokes. The street magic joke was really funny.
Mm-hmm.
The scene where they fucking get the phone call in the middle of the bad guy speech was funny. But other than that, not a whole lot. And yeah, it was pretty forgettable. I thought the story was just kind of not done nearly as well as it could have been. And yeah, but it had its positive qualities. You want to talk about, holy shit, you want to talk about a wait for a character. We at least got Black Panther before his movie. They made us wait 10 motherfucking years to finally give us the Wasp.
Yeah.
Who was one of the original 5 founding members of the team in the comics.
Yeah.
And she's like one of the last ones we got in the movies. How ironic.
Weird decision.
And I can't believe how fucking long it took them. And here's the thing. It was really cool finally seeing the Wasp.
Yeah.
I loved it. When I saw her in the trailer, I flipped the fuck out. When I first saw the costume, I was like, finally, oh my god, they're giving us the fucking Wasp. But here was the problem. She didn't make much of an impact as the Wasp to me. Unfortunately, she did not earn her name in the title. Because it should have been just as much her movie as Ant-Man's if both of their names are going to be in the title. No, it was still just Ant-Man 2 with Wasp as a character.
Right.
Which I didn't like. She really didn't get to do that much, unfortunately. But, yeah, but it was still cool seeing her. And it had a lot of the stuff from the first one that you liked, a lot of the characters. Michael Pena was still fucking hilarious.
As always.
He was still doing his fucking flashback shit, which was the funniest part of the first movie.
Yeah.
But then, okay, so you got a lot of new characters in this one, too. Some of them work, some of them don't. Ghost was...
a fucking waste.
I liked the idea of Ghost.
Yes.
I liked what they... Like, I liked the story. I liked her backstory. Unfortunately, like the rest of the movie, it was really rushed, and they didn't do a whole lot with it. And I'm hoping they fix that in Ant-Man 3, because she's still out there. Mm-hmm. I assume she's coming back. But... yeah, and then fucking Lawrence Fishburne as Goliath.
Yeah.
It's what the actor brings to the part, and he always crushes it. So this was never going to be any different. he was fun to watch, even though, like Ghost, his whole thing was just kind of rushed. And then, I love him to death, but Walton Goggins' character was so completely unnecessary. If you cut him out, it wouldn't have made a fucking difference.
Agreed.
Except the movie would have been tighter.
Yeah.
There would have been a lot less bullshit going on. Randall Park was hilarious as usual. He had a fair amount of funny jokes, like not necessarily hilarious, but if nothing else, I enjoyed his presence.
Right.
So I think they probably introduced a few too many. And okay, out of all the new characters they introduced and all the ones that like were pointless, the one that I was looking forward to the most got the least amount of screen time, which was fucking Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh yeah.
I was completely lied to. They were making it seem like she was actually going to be an important character. She was in it for maybe 5 minutes, if even that.
Maybe.
Doesn't show up until the very fucking end, and I'm just like, are you kidding me?
Paul Rudd was Michelle Pfeiffer for longer than Michelle Pfeiffer was Michelle Pfeiffer.
That's true. He was. And granted, that was funny.
Yeah, it was a great scene. Don't get me wrong.
But I would rather see Michelle Pfeiffer be Michelle Pfeiffer.
She's capable.
Than Paul Rudd. I don't think anyone is more capable of being Michelle Pfeiffer than Michelle Pfeiffer. But yeah, I mean, it was cool seeing her for the few minutes that she was in it.
Yeah,
I was
it was
like,
nice.
Hey, you're here. I wish you were in it more. I thought she was going to be the villain. Because I had heard that might happen. And I thought the whole story was going to be her time in the quantum realm kind of drove her insane. And she was going to and I was waiting for it the whole movie. Especially, I thought they were intentionally baiting me towards the end. Because there's a part where she goes, I'm not the same person I was 20 years ago.
Oh,
Hank.
dude.
The quantum realm, it changes you. I'm like, so when's it going to happen?
Yeah.
When's it going to happen? It never did. I was like, okay. I feel like maybe it was going to happen and they reshot it. Because it wouldn't surprise me if this movie was the victim of a lot of reshoots. Because it really seems like it was so weirdly paced and choppy. And it was just so unmemorable.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It was really, really bizarre. That was the main problem I had with it, was the pacing. It was so all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's really not much else to say about this one.
Yeah, it was a movie.
It's yeah.
It's it didn't really impact the MCU one way or another.
Well, yes, it does.
Yeah.
That's the one thing is if it wasn't for that,
yeah,
this would be a completely pointless movie. But we'll get to that later. First, next one was Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
It's so funny because they were on such a hot streak for a while there. They had Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Infinity War. They were on fucking fire. And then they had themselves a little bit of a post-Infinity War slump where they had Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then this one, which was even less remarkable to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, where to start with Captain Marvel?
I mean, so here's the thing. We've already established a tone of disappointment. So let's try and go positive first.
Okay, yeah, let's backwards.
Okay,
let's cover positives first.
So Captain Marvel, the obvious things. It's a big movie, all right. It's female led.
The first one.
Yes, first in the MCU.
In the MCU is what I mean, yeah.
Right, and we had some cool shots, some cool pew pew space type shit. We got to see Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson. De-aged Samuel L. Jackson.
Fucking Pulp Fiction Samuel L. Jackson.
Nick Fury with hair and an eye, both eyes. What the fuck?
How you doing, Jules Winfield?
What's
up, Ordell?
That shit. Fucking Lashana Lynch.
Yes.
She had a breakout performance.
Yes.
Well, I find this movie very meh. Scenes with her were really fucking good. She crushed it.
Yeah, that's the thing is she and Samuel L. Jackson and okay, I'll get into this later if we're still talking positives.
Yes.
Lashana Lynch was very great. I think because all the supporting actors were really great.
Yes.
And she was a part of that. Samuel L. Jackson, to me, ran away with the movie, stole the fucking show, was absolutely just... this is a testament to how great of an actor he is, if we didn't know this already.
Yeah.
This is a real testament to how great of an actor he is. He's playing the exact same character he's played like 10 times at this point, and he's playing him completely differently.
Right.
Like, that takes... He's not doing it the same way. He's totally believably playing him differently.
Right.
You know, I love... He really just paid attention and made sure not to repeat himself and really thought about how Nick Fury would be, like, you know, in the past, like so far back in the past. And the dude is amazing.
Yeah.
As if, again, we didn't already fucking know that.
Right. To play a Nick Fury before the Avengers, before all this crazy shit happened, that grizzled him, like,
yeah,
it's still great.
He's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Ben Mendelsohn was fucking great.
Yeah.
And that was such a shock. Ben Mendelsohn playing a good guy. You want to talk about a plot twist?
Yeah, the Skrulls were actually the good guys in this movie, which is like, what?
And like, I knew Jude Law was probably going to be the villain, but like,
yeah.
and Jude Law was great too. But I didn't know the Skrulls were going to be good. That's never happened before.
Yeah.
I figured it was going to be some secret invasion type shit, but nah, because that was why they did it. Because then everyone's just going to keep asking, well, why wouldn't the Skrulls, if they were back in the 90s all the way back then, why wouldn't they have done a secret invasion? Because they're good guys.
Yeah.
That's how they solved that problem.
Exactly.
So yeah, really strong supporting cast. I thought the fight scenes were fine. Not all of them were, but some of them. The scene where she finally unlocks her powers and goes apeshit on all of them.
Right.
I really loved that scene.
Good shit.
The fight scene on the train was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then I really liked the chemistry between Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson. I liked the dynamic between the characters. Excuse me. So that worked, and it's yet another thing that he brought to it. But yeah, it had a really surprisingly had a lot of funny jokes.
Yeah.
I was surprised at how funny this one was. And a lot of the humor of all people, it came from Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah.
He had a lot of the funniest lines.
I know.
Was that really so hard to figure out? I mean, you're supposed to be my science guy. That was funny. But that's about all I can say as far as the positives go. Okay, let's just address the most negative thing first. The script was extremely subpar, and I know the reason why. It's because this movie went through like fucking 12 different writers. Like, it was really weird watching this movie go through production, because it seemed like every few months we had a new writing team or like new writers that they added to the movie, and it was always like, well, Jesus, how many are you fucking gonna get, you know? And it was ridiculous, and that's like, I think what kind of ruined because you had so many, that never works when you got that many people just playing tug of war with the plot.
Yeah.
You know, and it just doesn't work. And that's why we ended up getting the very kind of unfocused, bland sort of script that we got that doesn't fucking let us know a single detail of who Captain Marvel is as a character. It really pissed me off, because it's like it was trying not to give us anything about her.
Yeah.
It pissed me because, like, every single scene where they fucking were about to reveal something about her past, they intentionally just cut away from it.
Yeah. Like,
the fucking part where the Skrulls have got her in the mind thing and they're looking through her memories. This is the part where we're supposed to be finding out about her backstory, but they're talking over the whole fucking thing, and I'm like, shut up!
Yeah.
I want to see what her backstory is. I want to know more about her as a character. Like, stop fucking talking. How is this more important? And then later on, when she goes to Lashana Lynch's house, and they got all the photos, and the little kid starts explaining, like, and this is the one where the audio cuts out, and it just plays the music. And I'm like, stop! I want to know more about her character.
Like, we desperately need to know more about her character because what we're getting in the present sense, we don't have much to go off of.
Nothing. Like, that's the thing. Is like, okay, Brie Larson seemed like she was not very good in this, and I don't know if that's because I always blamed it on the fact that she had nothing to go off of. I'm just gonna assume that's what it was, because I'm just gonna assume that it was because she had no character in the script, because they went out of their way not to reveal anything. But regardless of the reason, you need your lead. This is like the opposite of Downey.
Yeah.
You need your lead to have a big presence in order to carry the movie. And she's just like, I'm Captain Marvel. What section is this? What quadrant am I in? I'm part of the Kree. We're looking for the Skrulls. And I'm just like, wow. And this combined with your lack of backstory really makes me care about you as a character. And it was really frustrating. And that's what I was going to say earlier is the supporting cast really picks up her slack. You got Samuel L. Jackson and Lashana Lynch and Ben Mendelsohn all just basically picking up her slack. And it's so funny because I didn't even think about this for the longest time. The fucking Honest trailer made a really funny point where throughout the whole movie, they keep telling her, like, you have to keep your emotions in check. You can't let your emotions get the best of you. She shows no emotion throughout the movie whatsoever. She's like completely deadpan for the whole thing. And I'm like, calm down. Her emotions are out of control.
Right.
It was, and I get that like they were supposed to be, and she just didn't fucking do it right. But that doesn't change the fact that it's funny. But yeah,
I'll lay in my theory about it, and that I think that it was an intentional director choice to have her be so one note, in the sense of if Brie Larson is a blank slate, then women can impress themselves onto her character and be like, that's who I am, that's who I want to be. She has too many of one trait. People can be like, oh, well, I'm not that abrasive. I'm not that gentle. I'm not that this. Because there is something to, like, I have female friends, not like, oh, I have a black friend, but like, I have talked to some of my female friends about how they feel about the movie, and they feel it differently because they are women. There's just certain things that are going to hit you differently, just like me watching Black Panther is different from you watching Black Panther.
right.
So women, they'll tell me like the whole thing about keeping your emotions in check. Women, they get told that all the time. They have to keep their emotions in check.
Right.
They don't want to seem too over emotional. And then, so a lot of women I know, like, they love that scene where she just fucks up Jude Law, who's like, I don't have to listen to you. Like, because it's a very, like, that scene in a vacuum is very important. Just the problem, though, is like, women can relate to it, and that's very good. But to the audience that isn't women, not that they need to cater to everyone, like, but like when you do such a blank character, those who don't know that struggle, who don't know that, like, we just see a one-dimensional character.
Right. But here's the thing. I want to preface this by saying that regardless of how good the movie is, if it can have that effect, then that is amazing. Like, that's how I felt about Wonder Woman.
Yes.
I hated Wonder Woman. I thought that was a fucking stupid movie.
Not very good.
But the silver lining in that whole thing was if women can watch this and like enjoy it on that level and just be happy that like they see a female hero on the screen and it can do all that for them, then I'm so happy about that. Just like I'm happy with Captain Marvel, because that's cool. That doesn't make the movie good.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Those are two completely separate things. How it affects certain people and how good it actually is are two totally different things. And I am very happy that it can do that. But here's the thing. So I just want to preface it with that no matter what, I am very happy that like we finally got an MCU movie with a female lead and that like women could relate to it and all of that. That is so fucking cool. But like at the same time, I think it is bullshit that you have to make her a blank slate, because here's the thing. Yeah, okay, if she's a blank slate, you could say, well, women can just impress themselves onto her, but like, what are you impressing yourselves onto a bland, like, nothing character? Wouldn't it be better if you could just, like, you know, sit there and be like, well, that's a, like, I'm a woman, that's a woman, like, someone who looks like me, who is a woman, is, like, on screen, this really great developed character doing this cool stuff in a Marvel movie, like, the ultimate platform for film. Like, someone who looks like me, has this platform, has the lead role, is really cool, is like this really developed, awesome character, and it makes me as a woman feel more inspired. Wouldn't that be better than, like, you know, just having the bland character to idolize? I think that would be better, because if she had been a good character, I imagine they'd be saying the same thing.
Right.
They'd still be really liking, you know, everything she's doing and saying all this, and it'd be better. It would have been a stronger reaction. And then you could have gotten everyone else on board. But here's the problem, and they did this with Wonder Woman 2, and this is a trope that pisses me off to no fucking end. I hate the idea that studios have, that, or just people in general, that a fucking, all that makes a strong female character is just her striking a pose and looking badass.
Yeah.
No! That is fucking wrong. Like, think of all the strong female characters in film history. Your Ellen Ripley's, your Sarah Connors, like all the biggest ones we've ever had. Is that what they were? No. They were strong, three-dimensional, well-developed characters who happened to be women. They were not like just people. They actually bothered to write them like people.
Yeah.
They didn't like write them like, oh, she's a woman, so she's got to like strike a pose and, you know, just like, no. They wrote them like people. That's what you got to make them like just a strong character. And the fact that she's a woman is what makes it cool. You know, that's what makes it important and impactful, is that like you've got a strong character like that, like a lot of other strong characters, but it's a woman, you know, like, and that it's doing so much for female characters. That's how Sarah Connor worked. That's how like Ellen Ripley worked. That's how like all like fucking Princess Leia worked. So many strong female characters throughout film history. And I hate that like you think you don't have to fucking, because that's the thing to me. She didn't earn that moment. She's just like, she blasts him and she goes, I don't have to prove myself to you. To me, what that meant was like, I don't have to have character. All I have to do is strike a pose and look badass. Like, you didn't earn that fucking moment. Like, again, if women can see that and have that reaction, that's what matters most, and I'm super happy about that.
But in the context of the movie.
Right, in the context of, like, her as a character, because she's not a very strong character, and, I mean, you want to look at, like, yeah, she's just not. And it's unfortunate, because traditionally, Captain Marvel is a great fucking character.
Yeah.
I don't know why they butchered her so badly here. I was really, really excited to see them do her justice, you know? And I was excited for it to, like, it really sucks with this and Wonder Woman, because, like, I'm still waiting for the first really good female-driven superhero movie. Because, like, I hate that I fucking don't like either one of those movies. And I hope, I'm not expecting, but I hope Wonder Woman 1984 fucking changes that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I just, you know, the problem is, like, it's because, just like with Wonder Woman, they aren't trying to make them, like, interesting characters. They're just trying to, like, have them strike a pose and look tough. And I'm like, that is such a fucking cliche that drives me crazy.
Yeah, the proof that like Captain Marvel just wasn't done well in the movie.
I'm just gonna go ahead and address the fact the fucking we had to cut the we had to take a break because I'm sure it's not gonna sound right in the playback. So yeah, we had a little interruption there, but we're back on track.
Yes.
But as you were saying,
Yeah, and Captain Marvel's post-credit scene where she's like, "Where's Fury?"
yes,
And
she was more badass in that moment than she was in the entire movie.
Comparative, it's almost like a completely different person.
Yeah.
It's like, where was this for the past like 2 hours?
It's like, come on, you actually have a presence in this scene.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
And even in Endgame, as limited, and I mean like super limited as she was in there, she came up a lot cooler, more charismatic in the few moments that she was in there. So like,
well, if we're gonna talk about Endgame, let's go ahead and segue into that.
Yeah, let's go into Endgame because like fucking Endgame, Captain Marvel was a great part of that movie, but they had to like dial her back because obviously she's way too powerful. Like in the scene where she like fought Thanos, like she was fucking him up, and literally like soon as she got in there, like she just flew through the fucking ship and like just fucked shit up.
And see, this is like part of the like, this is the problem. The Russo brothers, like I said, are the cleanup guys, right? They come in and clean up everyone else's messes. Even they couldn't fucking clean up like how much they overpowered Captain Marvel because like seriously, both of the movies she's been in so far, like they had to like nerf her in some way in order to make it work.
Right.
Because in Captain Marvel, she literally just had to be nerfed for almost the entire movie until like the very end. Because if she had her full powers, it would have been over in 10 seconds. And then they had to keep her completely out of almost all of Endgame. Didn't have her come until like halfway through the final fight, because if she was there, it would have been over in 10 seconds. And I'm like, if this is the case, you have definitely overpowered her, and I don't know why. I don't know why you couldn't just make it like the comics where, yeah, she's like one of the strongest ones, but she's not like too powerful to the point where like nothing about her is relatable, or like I don't feel like she's ever going to be in danger, because look at what she can do. She took down Thanos' ship in like the blink of an eye.
Yep.
And they couldn't even fix that. But I did appreciate them trying to do what they could. And it sucks also that they shot that before Captain Marvel, so they didn't have a lot to work with.
Yeah.
Like they had the script for Captain Marvel, I think, by that point, but they shot Endgame first. Mm-hmm. And I think the backwards order is part of the problem. Like with Brie Larson in particular, like she just was very confused because she was going back and forth between the movies and didn't know she was jumping around in time, much like they were in this movie.
Right.
But yeah, I did. I enjoyed. It wasn't as big as I wanted it to be, but I enjoyed the fight with her and Thanos.
Yes.
I was hoping we'd get like a full-on brawl where she like fucked him up, but yeah, I'll take what we got, especially considering how good the rest of that fight scene was, and how good the rest of the movie was.
Yeah.
Jesus, Endgame.
Endgame is a monster of a film. It was a fucking ride, and really like. There are movies that have to be seen in a theater.
Oh, yes.
And some for different reasons. Maybe you just need that big screen. Maybe you need that surround sound. Or like with this, you need to be in the presence of fellow nerds who have joined in this journey for certain moments that happen in the movie that make you go, oh shit. Like someone across the room just gasping, or like, oh shit. Or just like, when they found Thanos after he used the stones to destroy the stones, and they're like, we can't do anything about this, and then that text 5 years later, just the shock was just like, oh my god, like everyone just look, like you can see people looking at each other like they're living with this reality.
I heard my mom whisper, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, what?"
Like, just the complete shock, like, holy shit! Like, they have to deal with this for 5 years.
Yeah,
and you see, like, they're just trying to live and cope with how, like, this post Thanos world.
Yeah, it's definitely not where I expected it to go. I really did, because I feel like most people thought that the majority of the movie was going to be, Thanos, like them spending the time out in space looking for Thanos.
Yeah.
Not even. Like 15 minutes into the movie, he's dead. The Infinity Stones are gone. They can't fucking reverse this. Now what do we do?
Right.
And I guess it makes sense because we all knew that just based on the rumors, we all knew that time travel was going to factor in somehow.
Yeah.
And we found out how. And I always thought it was so cool how they showed that in the trailers, and we had no idea. They showed them in those white suits, and we just thought, whoa, why are they in those white suits? But they were like, we know, like, we're literally showing the time travel stuff, and you don't even know what it is. Like, that, I thought that was pretty cool.
Right.
But yeah, let's talk about the time travel thing. That was, some people don't like it.
Mm.
Some people think it kind of ruins the flow of the movie. I completely disagree. I think that is one of the things that makes this movie so great. By going back through all the previous movies, that's what makes it the ultimate tribute to the Infinity Saga, to the MCU. Like, they're taking you back, through the ride.
Yeah.
Showing you all of the best moments, paying tribute to it in such a great way, really bringing it all full circle.
Right.
That was what was so great about it to me. And you get to see, all of the little things that you never saw before, like what happened after Loki said, in all seriousness, I'll take that drink now. You get to see the entire process, what happened after that with them and the banter, and you find out that a lot of the Hydra guys were there, and Robert Redford was there, and they argued over the case. And even though he only had like a cameo in that fucking scene, I thought that was so fucking badass, where he's literally just like trying to bargain with literally the king of the gods. He's just like, no, we're going to take him and Odin can have what's left. I'm like, this fucking guy, like, respect.
Right.
And that was a shock, because that was another cool thing. All the cameos they brought out. Bringing everyone back, that was so cool to see all those people again. He was the most shocking one to me, besides, like, Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
Because he was retired at that point. The Old Man and the Gun was his last movie. And so I thought, well, if there's one person they're not going to get, it's him. And he shows up, and I'm like, yo, I thought you're retired, man.
Right.
But he filmed that before Old Man and the Gun. So, like, it wasn't technically the last movie he made, but it was his last one that got released. So I can't think of a more fitting way for him to go out in the biggest movie of all time.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, Natalie Portman shocked me too, even though that was just a Thor: The Dark World deleted scene.
Yeah.
It still shocked me, because I thought again, like, well, okay, I know the other person they're definitely not going to get is fucking Natalie Portman. Technically that's true, but there she was. Mm-hmm. She dubbed over her like lines in the distance. Like, that was weird. But yeah, you got to see so many great characters come back, even if it was just briefly. You saw. I really liked the scene with Thor and Frigga.
Oh yeah, that was that closure.
That was really cool. And a lot of people have said, like, well, why wasn't it Odin? Because he got his closure with Odin in Ragnarok. He never really got closure with Frigga because she died before he got into the room. Like, he got to talk to his dad like right before he died. Now he's getting to talk to his mom right before she dies. It's that closure with both parents, and it was just a great scene. And I thought she was the better person to help give him that kind of advice also.
Yes.
And any chance we can get Rene Russo on screen, I'll take.
Right.
And who else? The Hydra guys, fucking Crossbones and Sitwell. That was cool seeing them again.
Yeah.
That was one of the. This movie has so many funny fucking jokes. One of the funniest jokes in any MCU movie. The whole theater fucking lost their shit the first time I saw this was when he goes, "Hail Hydra."
Oh yes.
That was the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Dude. Oh,
Hail Hydra. And then I thought about it later on. I'm like, was that an in-joke about the dumbass Captain America comic?
Yes.
Where he fucking said Hail Hydra? Because that makes it even better.
That's 100% what it was.
They actually had to say that in a movie. It's fucking amazing. And then, like...
fucking just the existence of Professor Hulk, which is, like, so jarring.
I was uncomfortable with both Professor Hulk and Fat Thor. I was deeply uncomfortable in both cases.
Okay, well, I love Fat Thor.
I love Fat Thor, but I was like, what? Same with Professor Hulk. I'm like, okay, cool, but what?
Yeah, God, Professor Hulk. Like, And the way that they did it, like, they just kind of cut to Professor Hulk like, in a diner, just eating.
I know.
And they're just like, oh yeah. And so, like, they have, like, Nat and, like, Ant-Man and Cap just looking at him like,
well, they're used to it. Like, Scott is the one who's just like, you're,
yeah. He's got fans.
Again, one of the funniest jokes, just take the fucking phone.
Take goddamn.
Oh my god. No, like, he's even saying he doesn't want a picture. No, he wants a picture. But yeah, that was very bizarre. But very interesting. It made it different. And in both cases, it tied into their arcs, and it made sense for where they were going. Because, see, that's another thing that this movie did so well, is it ended the stories of the original 6. Each of them got a perfect conclusion to their arc.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, it could have been more satisfactory. Tony, who was told by Captain America and the Avengers, wasn't the guy to make the sacrifice play, and who was told by Yinsen in the cave all the way back in Iron Man 1, don't waste your life, gives his life, makes the ultimate sacrifice, does make the sacrifice play, and saves the whole universe in the process. Cap finally gets his dance. If that scene didn't make your heart melt, if that scene didn't just turn you into fucking mush, then you have no heart. He finally got his dance.
Yes.
Thor, after all this time, he finally like conquers his inner demons, steps up to save Earth one more time, and finally, after so many movies of them dealing with this, becomes the person he wants to be rather than the person he was like meant to be. You know, Hulk finally, after all this time, finds the balance between Banner and the Hulk.
As weird as it looks.
As weird as it looks, that was like, it was weird because they resolved his arc at like the beginning of the movie rather than the end.
Yeah.
Where he finally found the perfect balance. Black Widow gave her life to the team that gave her life meaning. You know, after all it did for her, she like got rid of any bit of red she had left in her ledger because, you know, she had the shady past. Finally, just like totally wiped out all the red.
Yeah.
And Hawkeye got his family back.
Thank God.
And finally got to retire in peace.
Yeah.
Each of them had the perfect ends to each of their fucking stories.
Yes.
And it was like, what else could you have asked for?
You can't be more grateful. It's so rewarding. That's what like a big thing about this movie was. It's rewarding. For those who have watched since the beginning,
yes.
Or just like me, who played catch up or went very late, right before the movie, like knowing all the references, really everything coming full circle. Like, you were rewarded, not just in the movies, but also just fans of the comics, like the Hail Hydra thing. Like, if you follow the characters, follow the superheroes, then you get to so many references that when you finally get to Endgame, it's like it all comes to a head.
And they really were trying as hard as they could to just pay tribute, because like with the time travel and going back and seeing everything, and the arcs ending perfectly, and just the references they pulled out and the cameos we got. Like, there were so many moments where they really, all of the big memorable lines from the past movies, they brought back. Like when Hawkeye, I remember I had the biggest smile on my face. Seriously. It was one of my favorite moments when watching it for the first time. When Hawkeye goes, "We're a long way from Budapest." I just had the biggest smile on my face because I was like, holy shit. Like, they're really just rewarding us. Like, every single thing that has happened or been said, like, just like famous lines like that, you know, we're getting payoff on that. You know, there was the other one where the biggest fucking moment in the movie, another payoff from a line before, "On your left."
Oh God!
Oh my God! It was beautiful.
That was good. That was amazing.
That scene is one of the best scenes I've ever seen in anything ever. It's one of my favorite scenes I've ever seen in any movie ever. It is probably my favorite scene, my absolute favorite scene in the whole MCU, and probably will always be my favorite scene in the whole MCU. When they all come through the fucking portals, it's already good enough before that, right? Because the three of them are in this badass fight with Thanos, and his armies are there, and Cap is just gonna fucking take them all on by himself.
Right.
Because, of course he is. He doesn't fucking care.
He can do this all day.
He can do this all fucking day. But then you hear on your left, you see the portals, Everyone fucking shows up. That bastard Alan Silvestri just kills us all with his fucking score. Fuck him for being so talented at what he does. And it's the most unbelievable. That the scene where it's just all of them there, you know, like the big wide shot of everybody.
Yeah.
It's like a painting.
Yes.
It's like a painting. It looks so unbelievable. And then I will carry this memory with me for the rest of my life. The moment that we all waited for 11 fucking years. He said it. He said it, and I heard he was about to say it. He goes, Avengers! I leaned forward in my seat. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Assemble. Everyone in my theater lost their shit.
Yes.
Me included. Yeah. I absolutely, like, I've never cheered that loud during a movie in my life.
Fucking squealed. Like, legit.
It was the best payoff. Like, it couldn't have been done better.
Yeah, the way he said the line, because everybody knew he was going to say it. But the way he said, he made us work for that shit.
They made us wait 11 fucking years.
Like, it just, you could tell, like, from the moment you hear On Your Left, you knew that it was coming.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, just the Avengers, pause, like, you almost miss it.
And then right after, as if you're not keyed up enough by him saying that, then they all just charge at fucking
And you got the big ass Ant-Man just like storming
fucking
across.
giant man, yeah, running across the looks like a fucking painting. Oh my
beautiful
God, it was the best fucking scene. And then the whole fight scene is fucking great.
Yes.
You get every character gets their moment. You got fucking Spider-Man with the insta-kill mode. You got Black Panther being like, give it to me, like doing the run across the field. You got fucking like the shot with all the women where they all fucking come together. You got fucking Giant Man just crushing people. You got fucking
Valkyrie flying around.
Yep, you got fucking Pepper flying around, doing a back-to-back with Iron Man.
Which was amazing.
You got fucking Captain Marvel just like punching the shit out of Thanos. It was like everybody was there. Everybody was getting their time to shine.
Yes.
And it was like just the best fucking payoff. And then got another moment that will never leave my memory, that I'll always hold dear. I am Iron Man. I didn't see it coming. That line, because he gets it.
Yeah.
He gets the fucking stones, and I'm already like, holy shit. And he goes, and I'm like, no, don't fucking do this to me. Don't you fucking say it. But of course, it has to be. It's the most fitting fucking way to end the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then he just fucks Thanos and his army.
Yeah, and it's full fucking circle. Because that's what started the MCU, is Tony Stark saying, I am Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a happy moment then, and now it's happy, but it's also depressing.
Technically, it's happy, like, in the most literal sense of the word, but it's also the most soul-crushingly depressing thing to ever happen in the history of cinema. But including the Hindenburg footage. But, no, that's a joke. I apologize. But, but yeah, and then you think that shit is sad. Then we get to watch his fucking funeral scene. You're thinking to yourself, how can they possibly tear my heart out any more than they already just fucking did? Let's just fucking cut to all of them at his funeral. And at this point, you're like, they can't tug at my heartstrings any fucking more. And then you see the chest plate.
Yep.
Proof that Tony Stark has a heart. Every time. I've seen that movie 5 fucking times. I've never cried, and I'm ashamed to say it. Because I don't cry during movies, and I hate that. But that fucking almost got me every single time.
Yeah.
It's never lost its impact. The fucking funeral scene, especially that part, nearly gets me every time. And just the panning shot of everybody. Because they start with the Iron Man guys, and they just work their way back, like pretty much in chronological order, all the way back to Captain Marvel. And it's like, this is how far we've come. You know? Like, look at how far we've come since the beginning. It's unfucking believable. And they got people from every franchise there.
Yes.
Like, even the Incredible Hulk. They got General Ross in the back repping. And I didn't notice this. I'm sure you didn't notice this. A lot of people didn't notice this until they got home and looked at IMDb.
Oh, yeah.
The fucking kid from Iron Man 3 was there.
Yeah,
if I had known that when I was watching, that probably would have been the final straw. I would have been like, ah! You know?
Yeah.
And fucking Happy.
That scene of the fucking event.
They got to give Happy a scene because Favreau was the guy who started the whole thing.
Yes.
You know? Yeah, your daddy likes cheeseburgers. Like, fuck you, man. You got to wonder what he thinks. Like, you got to wonder, like, if he thought they would ever come to this. Like, when he fucking did Iron Man all those years ago.
Probably not.
If he ever could have fucking imagined it would go this far.
Yeah.
He's got to be proud.
He's got to be, like, more than that.
Got to be proud. You know what the most hilarious thing is?
What?
That I don't reveal until the end of the episode? The entire MCU, we owe its existence to the 2003 Daredevil movie.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, if you've seen it, you know that Jon Favreau is in the movie. He plays Foggy Nelson. And while he was working on that movie, he met up with the producers and talked to them about doing an Iron Man movie. That was his in. And that was how the Iron Man movie got started. Never would have happened if that Daredevil movie didn't exist. So isn't that just a bizarre piece of information to learn?
Yeah, you do with that what you will.
Yeah. So think about that next time you say you wish that movie didn't exist. So yeah, thanks Ben Affleck, who would eventually go on to directly compete with them as Batman.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, isn't it funny how it all works out like that? Yeah, Endgame was absolutely phenomenal. It was just, to me, the best MCU movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is going to make my top 10 for this year. And if it doesn't, I'll be very surprised. And yeah, I couldn't have asked for them to do a better job. It really was like they rewarded you for being loyal to them and sticking with them and going along for the ride for all those years.
Big ass love letter.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was a love letter to the MCU. And I usually hate fucking love letter bullshit. But that's what it was, and it was also a good movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, thank you, Russo brothers, Marcus and McFeely, and the guy who we surprisingly have barely mentioned so far, Kevin Feige.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to fucking Kevin Feige. You're the architect. You're the man who put it all together. It wouldn't have worked without you. That's the God's honest truth. Look at every other cinematic universe. It's because it's run by producers who don't fucking care about the creative side of it.
Yeah.
But you do. So thank you very much for guiding it and making sure that we got this far, and for continuing to guide it in the future. You're the man.
Bless you.
You and your whole council of elders.
Yeah.
Louis Despacito, Victoria Alonso, all those guys on the council. If that even still exists. But, and also thank you for kicking out Avi Arad, because God knows how bad it would have been under his leadership. Yeah. But that's a subject for another day.
Oh, shit. You know who we haven't fucking mentioned?
Who?
Stan Lee.
Yo, thank you for catching that shit. Let me add to that. Thank you, Stan Lee, for creating the characters, and Jack Kirby for creating the character, and Steve Ditko. All three of you fucking legends for creating the characters in the first fucking place. Stan Lee, you are a genius. You were I have to say word with him now. Isn't that depressing?
Painful, dog.
Stan Lee, you were a genius. You were a legend. You were a saint. You were one of the best people ever. We miss you every day. Thank you for giving us these characters and all the various iterations of them that have sprung from those characters, and including these movies. I'm sure you were very proud.
Yeah, and the fucking trooper, he made a cameo and
Yeah.
All those movies, like Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, like all that. Even like fucking Deadpool, like if it was Marvel, he was in it in some way.
Yeah. I mean, for almost every Marvel movie that was ever made, and these were obviously some of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
He had so many great cameos. He had like what were some of the best ones? I loved his one in Thor.
Yes.
Did it work? Love that one. I loved God, what are some good ones? I'm trying to think of like all my favorites that he ever had. His one in Endgame was really funny.
Yes.
Hey man, make love, not war. That one was really good. His one in Thor Ragnarok was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
My hands aren't as steady as they used to be. Yeah, he was all over the place in those movies. Gotta love him, and he was a trooper for doing them all.
Right. Very different cameos.
Yeah. He was a watcher in one of them.
Yeah.
That was something. And then also Jack Kirby, who co-created all the characters with him, and did Captain America on his own.
Right.
So yeah, Jack Kirby, you were also a legend among legends.
Yes.
You were one of the biggest legends the comic industry has ever seen, and I always hated how you didn't get any credit because you were dead once the Marvel movie started coming out and you couldn't make cameos.
Yeah.
For any of you who don't know, Jack Kirby was involved with every single one of them, just like Stan Lee was, so don't overlook him. So respect to him. And Steve Ditko, who was the artist.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have iconic costumes like Spider-Man's costume, without Steve Ditko.
Yeah.
He's the guy who designed the Spider-Man costume, one of the most iconic costumes in history. He also worked on Doctor Strange and a lot of the other ones. And he unfortunately died around the same time that Stan Lee did. So isn't it crazy that all three of them are dead now?
I know, dude.
Because like I'm used to Jack Kirby being dead. He died before I was born.
Yeah.
But like Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, like everyone from that era is gone now. It's unbelievable.
But clearly their legacy will live on.
Their legacy, endures to this day. A movie based on their work is now the highest grossing movie of all time.
Yes.
Suck a dick, James Cameron. Suck a fucking dick.
The nerds win.
The nerds win. And I know you've done nothing but nerdy shit for your entire career, but also just like I got nothing personal against you, man. It's just you've been dethroned.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say.
That's how it is.
Fucking the Dances with Smurfs isn't the fucking highest grossing movie of all time.
Boo hoo. Now you're number 2. That's so sad. Sure.
Number 2 and number fucking 3 because of Titanic.
Yeah.
He's
fine.
Yeah, you're fine, Cameron. But I know it still eats you up, so suck a dick.
Yeah. You're fine, and so is Zoe Saldana.
Very fine.
Like the top fucking dog.
Not even the top 2. She's got Avatar, which is number 1. Endgame. No, Avatar, which is number 2. Ha. Endgame, which is number 1. Avatar, which is number 2. Infinity War, which is like number 5.
Yeah.
She's in 3 out of the top fucking 5. She's making fucking bank.
Talent, man. It's like, and just the stars align so perfectly.
Yeah.
God.
It's so that's awesome. And overall, I think what we can take from this at the end of it all, we should wrap up here. What was my favorite part of Endgame and the whole saga overall? If I had to say, my favorite thing, it was one thing about Endgame. That was my favorite thing in the whole saga. It's that Paul Rudd was in the highest grossing movie of all time. At this present moment, and for years to come, the statement that Paul Rudd is in the highest grossing movie of all time will be true.
Yep.
And so thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah.
If you take anything from this episode, this long behemoth of an episode, just be thankful. Take a moment to be thankful this holiday season that Paul Rudd is in the highest grossing movie of all time. I take that back. He's in 2 of the top 5. Well, he wasn't in Infinity War. Either way, he's in the highest grossing movie currently. So yeah, that's it for this insanely long episode.
Right.
And I'm sure you guys have noticed by now that both episodes were uploaded on Sunday, where one was supposed to be uploaded on Saturday and one on Sunday. I apologize. You guys have no fucking idea how hard it was to record this entire episode.
Oh, the trials and tribulations.
The trials and tribulations.
Different locations, different days.
Yes.
Like,
we filmed the first one, got halfway through, weren't able to record the second one until today, had to switch fucking houses. It is currently 12:32 a.m. and we are just now finishing this shit up. Excuse me. So I hope you appreciate the hard work that I did here. And now I got to do my Apothecary Recommends. I'll make it brief because I'm trying to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
This time, I'm going to recommend a movie called Breach. And this is a movie that I'm sure a lot of you haven't heard of. I actually hadn't heard of it until a few weeks ago. And once I heard about it, I checked it out. It's from a director who I used to not like. His name is Billy Ray. You may have heard of him. I used to not like him because everything that I had seen from him or heard of him doing was not good. He did a movie a few years ago called Secret in Their Eyes, which wasn't terrible, but wasn't that great. And he was involved in Gemini Man, which was a bomb. He was involved with the first Hunger Games, which I thought was kind of subpar. So I just didn't really respect him for the longest time. And then I saw this. And now I have nothing but respect for him. I think he's fucking great. So basically what the movie is about is it's a true story about this this guy, this FBI agent named Robert Hansen, who he was in charge. He was like one of these top guys at the FBI. He was the head guy in charge of like finding Russian moles, and he was the guy in charge of like, you know, dealing with Russia, like counterintelligence and all that kind of stuff. And like finding Russian moles in the FBI. And he was the biggest Russian mole in U.S. history. He was, and that's why no one ever caught him. He was the guy in charge of finding him, and he was the main one. And it is still to this day the biggest security breach in U.S. history. And he was like a spy, a Russian spy for decades and decades. And it's about the agent, the guy, Robert Hansen, he's played by Chris Cooper, super underrated actor. Hate that he doesn't get more respect. And it's about, he's only one part of it. It's really about the agent, played by Ryan Philippe, who is assigned to bring him in. And it's about like their relationship and how the mission is affecting Ryan Philippe's life and his relationship with his wife. And it's like they enter this power game where, you know, he's constantly trying to work him and, you know, get enough evidence on him to like arrest him, but he's always afraid of getting caught because he's like posing as his assistant. And it's like really suspenseful and really great. Ryan Philippe is outstanding. Laura Linney is in it. She's outstanding. The Allstate guy, Dennis Haysbert, is in it. He's only in a few scenes, but he's good. And Gary Cole, randomly enough, is in this too. But Chris fucking Cooper gives, and this is saying a lot, gives the best performance I've ever seen him give. He is incredible in this, like genuinely. And it was funny because I was watching it and I was like, okay, how the fuck did he not win an Oscar for this? Who beat him at the Oscars this year? And I looked it up and it was like, oh, Javier Bardem for No Country for Old Men. Well, okay, I can see that. But he should have gotten nominated. He was so good. It was Oscar worthy. I can't recommend it enough. It's especially if you're into like espionage movies. It's one of the best espionage movies you'll ever. It's so good, so suspenseful. It has an amazing script. Billy Ray does a great job directing, and yeah, can't recommend that one enough. So yeah, that's about it. We got to get the hell out of here.
Yes.
Any final thoughts, Timmy?
Shit.
Anything else you want to say to the people?
I'm just thankful that you had me back on here. Had a good time.
Thank you for coming on.
Hey.
Thank you for actually putting up with my bullshit and going all over the fucking state with me trying to get this fucking episode finished.
Yeah, it was quite the trial to make happen, but I think it was worth it.
Yeah.
I'm always down to talk about nerd shit. You're one of my good friends, so anything to help out. And it was also nice to just look back on the Marvel Cinematic Universe because like we're going into Phase 4. We got a lot of things to look forward to. I'm excited for it, and now that we've discussed it, a lot more things are fresher in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to go back and watch a couple movies now. But
see that's what I'm really hoping to accomplish from this, like getting people to go back and watch more of them. You know, like reaffirm as if it needed to be reaffirmed because this year was the biggest year for it.
Yeah.
But like reaffirm your love for the MCU. You know. And for Marvel in general, which should be easy now that Disney Plus is out.
Oh yeah.
Look at me being a Disney shill. I'm one of them now, aren't I?
Yep.
I'm a Disney shill. Damn it, they're gonna crucify me for this in the comments. But yeah, cool. Thank you for coming on and doing all this, and thank you all for listening. I'll catch you next time, guys. Stay tuned next week where we won't be doing all this crazy bullshit. And I will be on time. So, yeah. Take care, guys.
See you.